Alright everyone, welcome back to another episode of Speedruns From the Crypt, your bi-weekly horror hotfix. Hope you're all doing good today and hope you're all doing well. Before we begin, I do want to say that Summer Games Done Quick will be live from Minneapolis, Minnesota from June 30th to July 6th, and on-site volunteer applications are now open through April 14th. You can visit gamesdonequick.com to apply to be an on-site volunteer and for more event information. Alrighty, so we are entering Speedruns From the Crypt tonight, and the plan is going to be something a bit fun. So a lot of horror games have alternative routes. The idea behind it is as you play the game, you can play as multiple characters, whether it be the classic Leon Claire, or even one of the more recent, you can have Emily and Carmen be the most recent Alone in the Dark, as well as some other cult gems here for you. Anyway, if you noticed during the Super Mario Maker 2 showcase we had earlier on Challenger Approaching with Adolf's show, at the very end of that we actually had a little poll, and today you will actually be helping decide what runs we're doing. So we began with we're going to be beginning with 7 mansions, or what's the exact name? 7 Mysterious Mansion Shivery Smile. And I'm punching probably the Japanese name in a moment here. But just to tell you what's going on, we had a poll to decide what route we'll be doing, since there are 2 playable characters in this game. With a vote of 42 to 41, the K any % route is the winner. Anyway, we have a fun night of shows. Every single run will have a poll around the back half of the run, so keep an eye out on Twitch chat if you want to help decide today's games. In total, just to kind of give you an idea of what we're doing here, we'll be having 7 mansions, we'll be having Resident Evil 2 Remake, we'll be having Clock Tower PlayStation 1, and we'll be having the new Alone in the Dark game. And each of these you can kind of see what the decisions here if you are wondering what that means. I do want to add one more thing as well, that originally I wasn't planning on having Clock Tower. Originally I was going to be having another game, but a runner did have to drop out, so I'm kind of here as a replacement. So I didn't plan that, it just sort of worked out. Anyway, without further ado, let's hop into 7 Mansions K any % with Punchy. Take it away.
Hello everyone, I'm Punchy. This is 7 Mansions Ghastly Smile, or Nanatsu no Hikan Senritsu no Bisho. This is a game that did not release outside of Japan, evidently. It is a Dreamcast game. We have K any % here, since that won the vote by 1.
Literally 1.
1, which is a source of consternation. I voted for Reina, personally, because Reina's campaign, I'm of the opinion her run is a fair bit easier to execute off the cuff like this, so I was kind of hoping I'd get an easy ride on this one. But no, you guys wanted this fantastic fashion sense and the slightly harder route that I now have to deal with. But alright, let's get to it. 3, 2, 1, go. So this is a survival horror game in your kind of Resident Evil 2 sort of vein. We are Kay. We are a university student arriving at a remote island to try and find our university professor who has gone missing. He was doing some genetic research before he vanished. Ooh. The plot kind of takes off from there. But the twist of this game is that the 2 protagonists will act at the same time. Like, I will then have AI Reina as my companion when I eventually reunite with her. This is bad. Reina is much worse when you're not the one controlling her, and it's your fault that I now have to deal with that. These are the enemies. They all look like goofy individuals like that. That's Reina. There she goes. Most cutscenes in this game are skippable. This one isn't for some reason. Do not worry about it. Serena's having a bad time of it. Enemies spawn in. We are currently unarmed and so have no means of attack. So we will simply have to run away from them for now. We will collect an ID card and the knife. Now, unlike a lot of games, survival horror games, where the knife is kind of the weapon of last resort, it's actually a strong and practical option in this game. Oop. Let's Trying to skip the cutscene. There we go. Cutscene skip in this game is done by pressing start and B at the same time, so it's a mite awkward. But okay, time to do some puzzle solving. Sort of. Kay doesn't really solve puzzles. He doesn't have the brain for that. But this is the kind of game where you need to pick up the puzzle item before the game will let you, like, input the solution. This is a note that, like, contains a hint towards a code that you need, and the game won't actually let you input the passcode unless you have that note, even if you already know what it is. This game also has, like, kind of Soul Calibur-esque 8-way run. Like, it's sort of like strafing, but it allows you to sort of run in it. It looks like it's got tank controls, it really doesn't. Like, it kind of does, but the second you hold down the L button, you're off in all kinds of directions. Anyway, at this point, Kay is contacted by a sentient program named Morris, who will aid us on the journey. I will be completely honest with you, I forget why. It has been a while since I have bothered to actually pay attention to the story of this game. I made, like, an unnecessarily long YouTube video about it, and then, like, moved on, and it exited my brain instantly. There is an English fan translation of this game, by the way, so if you become interested in playing it for whatever reason, that is an option that is available to you even if you cannot read Japanese. Okay. Reina has somehow locked herself in the library. Unclear how she did this with the keycard that we have in our possession, but never you mind that. Time for combat. However, we have one leg up on the enemy, the ability to control time. So we swing our knife and then pause the game. Pausing the game will interrupt the enemy attack animation in progress, like instantly. But our attack animation will still go through completely unimpeded. So using that, we can scam pretty much any enemy in the game out of being able to hit us, while we just sort of stab them to death. This does not rob the combat of complexity, although it does rob it a bit of difficulty somewhat. Because otherwise, normally, so like while they're reeling from their attack animation, I can't like hit them again, so you can't just repeatedly attack as fast as possible. You have to space it properly. Since that also applies to you. When you take damage, you reel for like 3 years, and that's not ideal. Am I close enough to hit? Yes. So you'd rather not get hit. But it means that engaging in combat without like freezing time constantly means it's like it feels turn-based. This is the first like turn-based action game ever made. Anyway, here's a freaky room with brains in jars. We are not going to dwell on the ramifications of that. Here is a cutscene framed from the backside of a desk because they didn't have a model for the character who was speaking. That is real. That's not a glib joke. That's actually the reason they did that. That's kind of a mini-boss on the floor there. My attack whiffed through because I went slightly too early. I'm looking for a crit, because K has the ability to crit with his melee swing. Instead, I'm getting whatever the opposite of a crit is, where I'm just not hitting at all. There we go, that's a crit. Sometimes when you swing your knife with K, he will crit and it just instantly kills what he hits. Reina's melee attack is a stun gun, she can't crit. That's like the only functional difference between the two characters' melee attacks. K sometimes kills instantly, Reina's never does. We're now here at that professor's house, it apparently having not occurred to our protagonist to look at his house first when trying to find a missing person. Yeah, we now have Reina in tow, but she's about to go split off in her own direction. This is where the campaigns diverge a bit depending on which character you pick, because at this point Kay will head to the environment lab, and Reina will head to the synthesis facility, I think it's called. Labs. For a game called Seven Mansions, there is, I think, one actual mansion in it, and it's the one we were just in. Otherwise, it's like labs all the way down. Skip a cutscene. There was a character in that cutscene. Don't worry about it. It's not important. We need this clay for later, and we get the pistol, just sort of in passing. We don't need the pistol, and we'll never use it, but the game will not let you not pick it up. You're getting a gun whether you want it or not. Alright, so the main puzzle in this part of the game is how to send an email on a computer circa the early 2000s. Is an enemy gonna spawn here? Nope. Random chance of an enemy spawning here. This is the computer room. We can contact Raina through this computer on her end of the line for a purpose that isn't currently clear. But the main obstacle to completing this area is getting Raina to send us an email with an attachment. That's what we need to do. We need to convey to Raina that we need her to send us something. In this room, we'll pick up the system file. There is a device at the top of this building that allows it to scan the building for life forms. The mechanics of this are unquestioned, so we're going to use it to search for like the missing professor, right? Because if he's a human, his life form will show up on the life form detecting machine. So we try to use it, but Kay doesn't understand how to use computers. But no, it's actually missing the boot file. So we need to get Raina to send us an email attachment with the boot file on it, now that we know we're missing it. Raina, send me the file. This piece of paper contains, like, the exact terminal name of our computer. And now, the puzzle is that we must wait. Raina sends the email in real time. One of my earphones has fallen out. What accent is this guy trying to do? I am English. I am from England. Have you played Xenoblade Chronicles? They base that on a real place. We just kind of talk like this. It's incredible. No, seriously, that's just my accent. That's actually just what English people sound like. Raina doesn't know how to use the computer. On Raina's side of the game, she is currently figuring out how to send an email with the command line interface. In Kay's game, we just kind of have to wait a moment. This just occurs in real time. Logically, you would think this is done via some kind of an event flag. It is not. System file acquired. Raina figured out the mystery of the command line interface. Now see, if you guys voted for Raina's campaign, we could have seen her side of that puzzle where she has to send an email via command line using an alphabetical keyboard. Not QWERTY, it goes in alphabet order, which I hate tremendously. Ah, he spawned. He spawned. There he is. One last email to Raina to tell her, hey, meet up. The professor isn't here. We searched using the lifeform detecting machine. End result, nothing. Nada. And Raina is somehow here instantly. So the two are reunited again, and now I have to contend with Raina actually being like an element of the game that I have to worry about now. But you see, off-camera, Raina gained the strongest weapon in the game. It is a pen that shoots lasers. It does the most damage of anything in the game, and it's on the AI. Kay can't have it. This is a problem because I'm now bound to the AI to do meaningful damage during the later boss fights. Yeah, that cutscene we were asking, like, a support character, oh, do you have any idea where else we can look? And she's like, try this shed. You know, we haven't seen this shed in a while. Turns out the shed is actually a secret entrance to an underground lab. As they always are. Nope, that's, you're swiping air. Now, see, the pausing here is not just for the ease of killing these guys one at a time, it's also for Reyna's safety. No, I still got shot with invisible bullets. See, those guys have a gun on their arm, but they don't actually shoot anything, there's no projectile or anything, it just kind of happens. Ooh, that door actually has an animation for opening. I've never had the camera pointed at it to find out. We learn new things every day. You gotta appreciate the small things in life, you know? Right, now we must engage in some back and forth. We saw a video on the security monitor of the person who is missing. Then, Kay gets a phone call and it's like, everything's bad at home base. Come back to home base. I am wearing 2 pairs of headphones so that I can hear the host, as well as the game audio. But the second pair keeps falling out. There's probably a more elegant solution to this problem, but I don't have a better idea.
Wait, have you always used 2 pairs of headphones?
Yep, this entire time, dude. Every single appearance.
Huh.
I've been wearing 2 pairs of headphones for every single Hotfix appearance I have ever done.
Yeah, I never realized that.
And GDQ appearance online at that. I use the same setup, obviously.
Actually, wait, which one's falling out? The game or me?
You.
Damn.
I need better earbuds. Anyway, back to the mansion. The only actual mansion in 7 mansions. For what it's worth, the reason the game is called 7 Mansions is because it's actually a sequel to like a much slower paced point and click kind of game that is set inside 7 themed puzzle mansions. But this is a survival horror sequel that has very little relationship to that game. So there's an enemy in this room, but I don't much care about him. Reyna, get out of the way. Reyna. Reyna, please. You can simply pick up the pendant and leave. You don't actually have to kill the enemy in that room. Normally, that is actually very rare that you can like get around an enemy without killing it in a plot critical room like that. Usually it contrives an excuse to trap you in the room. Okay, we have picked up the shotgun, which is going to be Kay's only meaningful way to contribute to combat for the rest of the game. Reyna has the laser pen, which does significantly more damage than the shotgun. Okay, let's hope I can do this movement without Reyna getting hit. But you see, Kay has more health than Reyna, so I'm distinctly more worried about Reyna's health than mine. No, Reyna decided it would be more fun to engage in fisticuffs with the enemy. Something she is notoriously... Ooh, I got stuck. That's not great. Abort. Reset the room. Okay, there we go. Getting stuck between the enemy and the wall there can be not great. Okay, we want to get further into the labs, but the door in is voice locked. So I picked up a tape recorder, and we're going to head back and record some tapes. We must engage in some back and forthing here for a bit in order to make progress. But after this, it becomes a straight shot through new areas. This guy just pops into existence right in front of your very eyes. I found something strange when I was derusting this game a couple days ago, which is that if you kill that enemy... Tape recorder, tape. If you kill that enemy with a gun, another one immediately spawns in to take its place. But if you kill it with the melee weapon, it doesn't. I do not know why. Get out of the way, Raina. By the way, I want to throw this out there. This game has friendly fire. So when you're swinging your knife around... Go on. There you go. Yeah, there we go. So when you're swinging your knife around and firing your guns or whatever, you need to be conscious of where your partner is. Because you can hurt them. And Raina can very well hurt you. And boy, does she like doing so. Okay, so now we're passing through an area where a virus has infected the air. So in order to get through, we must wear a safety suit and scan clean before we can get in. So now if we get hit by anything, we become infected with the virus, and that forks the game in like a whole different direction, and is very slow. So I would like to not have that happen, preferably. Which is a bit easier said than done because of these two rooms. So there's that robot in the middle of the room. It's not hostile, but Raina thinks it's a great idea to try and kill it a lot of the time. And this doesn't accomplish much other than Raina getting slapped in the face. And then, ooh, two enemies spawn right outside. Quick. Get to this thing on the wall and kill them. There we go. Okay, safe. That probably didn't look like much, but if you mess either of those two up even slightly, the entire run is, like, forfeit. You go down a completely different path of the game and it's much slower. So avoiding that is key. But we cannot leave yet. We need the chemical. I'll be sure Raina isn't the villain. She's the villain to me. Raina shooting you in the face with the laser pen is like a real problem for this run towards the end. It's why I'm going to equip her with nothing for the time being, as it is actively dangerous to leave her with the pen in an uncontrolled environment. You have to, like... I have routed in when to equip her with ammo and when to not, based on when she is most likely to go berserk. But okay, we've passed through. Nay bother. We are now in the clone lab. These guys... Raina got bit instantly. That kinda sucks, because now she's at half health. Raina has less health than Kay, which is a problem. This is why it's not amazing for her to be in the hands of the AI. The AI doesn't manage health as well as you do. Oh my goodness, Raina. Work with me, please. I'm going to play it incredibly safe and just trade her a health kit right now. We enter a church, a pipe organ is played, for some reason everyone falls asleep, and Raina is gone. Raina has been kidnapped. She is currently 2 rooms over, while a different character babbles about turning her into a superhuman. Yep, there she is. She's just on the table. We get 3 minutes to solve this puzzle where you have to pick up a laser cutter from the table and use it on a window. That took me 5 seconds. Good use of a 3-minute timer. Give me these health packs. Raina's probably going to get bit on the way back through this. Yep. Raina, please work with me. Okay, now, against my better instinct, Raina has a weapon. Okay. I skipped a cutscene where another character, who is apparently a secret agent, is trying to blow up the clone lab and instead entrusts this task to 2 random people he barely knows, because he, like, injured himself. So we need Raina to have her laser pen equipped to fight this thing. The caveat is that whether or not Raina will be amicable to aiding us in this is up in the air. Oh, she's doing it. She's doing it. She's hitting the enemy and not me. This is fantastic. I'm opening the map, like, also function. That was great, frankly. That is the ideal situation. That is what you want to see. That was great. In practice, today even, like just before the stream, while I was practicing, I have had runs where Raina will, for some reason, turn to face K and just shoot him in the face. For seemingly no reason. That looks like, you know, like that's what should happen. She shot the giant enemy that takes up 60% of the room that she's in. Make no mistake, she does not do that reliably. Sometimes... Okay, so this is a problem. She has 2 bullets spare. Raina? Raina? Please be careful. If I ran down the middle of that room, she 100% would have shot me in the back of the head. I am used to that one. Gonna come around the corner. Raina, don't shoot me. You can shoot him, I don't mind that so much. Okay. We are running around the clone lab, planting the bombs and unlocking doors and such. And after that, we're gonna go fight Satan. As you do.
While we're waiting for that, I just want to mention really quick, it's during this time we put up the next vote. That's going to be open for like the next 10 minutes or something. And that'll be between Leon and Claire.
Ah. Trade over med kits and the remaining ammunition to Raina. I've loaded up Kay with stronger shotgun ammo and Raina with her laser pen, and now we're going to go fight Satan. I have to very quickly immediately start mashing fire and start, because he attacks before the HUD is even done loading in, so if you're not 100% ready for that, he will punch you in the face for like half your life straight away. Which is very cool. I am too scared to move, in case Raina's AI has a moment. She's just kind of standing there right now, menacingly, which I'm not thrilled about. Would you like to shoot him, Raina? Go on, you can do it. There you go.
She's really trying her best, isn't she?
She didn't shoot me.
Wait, she can shoot you?
Very much so. That's why I was too scared to move, but I have absolutely had runs where she just for some reason pivots like 180 on the spot and just ices K in the back of the head. It's something about how she tries to fire while pathing to you, but obviously in order to path to you, she has to face you, and sometimes these wires get crossed and she just shoots you in the face. Get out of the way, Raina. Raina, move. Raina, please. Alright, we have 5 minutes to escape the base. We have escaped the base. This game really enjoys time segments that are far too long for the thing that they are. Reyna's gonna kill that enemy, no bother. As long as she has something to shoot at that isn't me. Trying to load Kay's gun with something, but the game for some reason did not let me into the menu there. There we go. The reason I'm trying to load Kay's gun is so I can take care of this enemy. If I try, you think, oh, you know, Reyna has ammunition in her gun, maybe she can deal with it. Nope, she'll shoot you. These rooms are too narrow, Reyna will shoot you in the face. So, don't allow it to happen. Take care of it yourself. Reyna cannot be trusted with such complicated tasks. Alright, heading into the final area, the Ark. This is where the horror gameness... We're dealing with a true horror game here because it's like a flesh area. It's made of flesh. This is how all classic horror games ended for some reason, including Tomb Raider. This was just the traditional way you did it back then. If you had a horror game, your final area had to be like a mass of weird flesh objects. Alright, I've healed up Reyna. I've notably not reloaded her gun. Or I must fight Babyface instead. Ouch. This is the only enemy in the game where the pausing technique to trick the game, like, does not work. Because their attacks are immediate, they are frame zero. So even if you pause the game, it does not matter. Reyna gets bit off screen. We are saving Reyna's ammo for the last two fights in the game, which hopefully she will help me out for. If you're wondering what the context is for, like, why are there baby faces on the walls, I would love it. I would love to have an answer for you, but I just kind of don't. Menuing is hard.
That's what makes it a mansion. I don't know how it makes sense, but I mean, that's why it's called Seven Mansions.
Okay, now we're gonna load Reyna's gun. Actually, no, I think I'd like to heal her again. For I'm going to need Reyna's help, and I have no reliable technique for this one. I just kind of hope she's willing to shoot the guy. Oh, that's a good start. She shot him with a gun. One more? Yes. Yes, twice even. See, the AI fortunately knows as well as I do that you can't actually hit the enemy when they're in the middle of their, like, stun anime. Ooh, it failed. Okay, got him. So normally when you shoot an enemy with the powered up shotgun shot like this, the express buckshot, there is a random chance you get a noise that goes, and the enemy doesn't get stunned. I think it's just random. I think the side effect of K being able to crit is that he can also crit fail. This cannot happen to Reyna. Alright, the Ark is being bombed with us still inside it. Oh no! We must raise the shields. The shields are in the same room as the computer that tells you where the shields are. So that was another 6-minute timer that can be resolved in about 5 seconds. Get in there. So on the display, the sentient air that's been helping us, they are slowly erased by the main villain. Dare he destroy my favorite computer. Full ammo for both characters, and this is the final boss. It's a guy made of rock. My earphones again. Reyna, can you shoot this guy while I fix my earphones? Thank you. Actually, you're doing a great job, Raina. Sentences I didn't expect to say today. Alright, I'm out of ammo. I kind of have to rely on Raina now to shoot the mans. You see, she's just kind of like pointing off the screen there. She'll figure it out eventually. There you go. Good job, Raina. Almost on the dot, too. She was one shot over, and I'm out of ammo as well. That was like to the T. Not a bullet out of place. Or you can just shoot that guy in the back of the head as well. And she's out of ammo for this hallway, which is very good, because she will attempt to shoot this enemy here, and is very, very likely to hit you with it. I'm almost kind of sad that didn't happen, because it's very funny, but it does a lot of damage. The laser pen hurts a lot, and it would really screws up the health route when she does it. Nope.
About how much health does it take?
Like a third.
Oh, God.
If you're playing it kind of like near the knuckle, it can just kill you. And time. That's time.
GG.
Cool. What was the time on that?
It's like a 33 something.
Nice. I was gonna say, what was my estimate? Did I provide one?
I put 35 because that felt right, and it was right.
Good. You have a better sense for this than I do. Yes,
Yeah, 3303.
Very, very brief synopsis of the sending. We were trying to stop a doomsday device that is like shaped like a Gundam from launching. It's powered by an unconscious person who got sick from drinking unclean water. Don't drink the toilet water, kids. It makes you hate humanity and then try to construct a Gundam to kill humanity. That's the actual plot of this game. I'm only barely paraphrasing that. That makes a very annoying noise. But okay, that was 7 Mansions. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the run and enjoy these kinds of out there horror game runs, check out my Twitch at twitch.tv/punchy. I have a lot of these. I have a lot of these. We got like Death Crimson over here. We got like House of the Dead 2. I mean, that's not everyone knows what House of the Dead 2 is. Zombie Revenge, The Ring to the Dreamcast is great. But for someone like me, the Dreamcast, I'm gonna drop these all over the floor, and that'd be very.
I also want to take one quick moment here to say that for Resident Evil 2 Remake, we do have our vote decided. The score right now is 109 Leon, Claire 45 as a result. So I think we're doing Leon.
Wow. The people love Leon.
The voting's been fun so far. Anyway, before we do hop to the next run, Punch, you have anything else you'd like to add?
I said it at the start, but if you've become interested in this game somehow from watching this run, there is an English patch available for it, translated by Snowy Aria, who has been in the chat this entire time. Thank you very much to Snowy Aria for translating this game, because I probably wouldn't have found it if they didn't do it. I can read Japanese, but, you know, it's good for discovery and all that. It's easier to play when it's in your native language, after all. And it's a good translation. I'm willing to throw my weight behind it. Interesting game.
Alright, thank you once again for the run of 7 Mansions. We have a lot of fun choices to make today. Hope you all are enjoying them. We do have more for you coming up. Before we do go to a quick break, I do want to say that we are looking for a special event showrunner to highlight speedrunning communities through weekend specials as we revitalize GDQ Hotfix. If you're passionate for speedrunning and thrive on organizing gaming events, check out the duties and apply today at gamesdonequick.com/jobs. Anyway, don't go anywhere. We'll be back with the Resident Evil. Alright, everyone. Welcome back from the break, and hopefully you are enjoying today's show so far. I'll say really quick as well, if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll hope you're enjoying it for 1, and 2, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more GDQ Hotfix content. Anyway, welcome back to the show, everyone. As I mentioned earlier, today's theme is going to be essentially choices. I've had a couple of choices made already. At the end of every run, we'll be making more choices. We'll still be deciding Clock Tower and Alone in the Dark later tonight. But for now, a lot of you have chosen, and we'll be going into Resident Evil 2 Remake Leon A with Hazeblade. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Well, first and foremost, hello everybody. My name is Hazeblade, as Ek mentioned previously. I like to run a lot of horror and RPG / Souls-like games. RE2 is pretty much it's pretty much my game as far as, kind of where I got my start. Really getting into the speedrun scene. I did run a couple of games before this, but this was the one that really kind of hit home for me, and I wanted to put a lot of time into it. I was just telling Ek behind the scenes that I've got like 2,000 hours in this game, and it's something that is a really kind of holds a special place in my heart. And even though I haven't run this game competitively in quite some time, I love coming back to this game because it's great. So you guys voted. It's going to be Leon, and I dressed him up nice and pretty for you guys. So it's going to be a blast. So we're going to do new game standard. Here we go. Timer starts after I skip the cutscene and I start moving forward.
Look, man, I'm serious, okay? I saw someone.
There's 2 cutscenes. All right, time starts in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Starting off at the gas station. Everybody's favorite place in Resident Evil speedrunning. We actually had a period of time with this game where it was me, Trey, Orch, and a couple of others, and we were all trying to compete to see who could complete the gas station the fastest. And there was a little meme we had going on for the gas station world record. Well, that's a great start. He just totally ate my handgun round to the face. That happens sometimes in this game. On the difficulty that we are playing on, it's not super common. And I'll talk a little bit about how enemy staggering and things like that work progressively throughout the run. But essentially, this is one of many Capcom games that utilizes the DA system, which stands for difficulty adjustment. And basically what that means is depending on how you play the game, the difficulty of the game changes dynamically. So every game works a little differently in how that actually manifests. So sometimes it's whether or not your shots are landing or missing, taking damage, picking up healing items, things like that. Again, every game is a little bit different, but that's kind of the gist of it in most games. Some games like RE3 Remake actually have set points where it automatically sets your DA to a certain value, and it can be pretty tricky to try and figure out if that's going to be a problem later in the run. So fortunately, RE2 Remake has very straightforward DA, and it's pretty much just a plus or minus system based on the ammo that you're picking up and whether or not your bullets are landing on targets or not. So it's a pretty straightforward system in this game, fortunately, but it kind of seems like since this game, it has progressively gotten much more complicated from every iteration of Resident Evil games. And even Dragon's Dogma 2, Capcom's latest installment, actually does have some form of DA as well. I have no idea how that works, by the way. I've put like maybe 200 hours in that game at this point. And I tried routing it a little bit, but I am not entirely sure how the DA works or if it really matters at all because I've only really dabbled in New Game Plus. So. But yeah, so as far as this game is concerned, we have quite a few different mechanics that we're going to be leveraging. First and foremost, I want to give a shout out to Waifu for discovering this tiny little skip. I'm losing some RTA showing this, but when you pause here, you can actually accelerate how quickly this fine young gentleman busts through the door. And so when you're running the game competitively, you're going to specifically look, that's unfortunate, you're going to specifically look to pause there, so that way you save a little bit of time on the IGT, which is the timing method that's actually used for this game. So shout outs to Waifu for finding that. He found it completely by accident. There were construction workers outside of his apartment, and he paused the game to go figure out what it was, and he came back, and this dude just instantly busted through the door, and it was a very fascinating discovery, as is most things that are found. I.e., I'll do a quick shameless plug on the duffel bag glitch in RE4. I actually found that by accident when RE4 Remake was brand new. I was just messing around with some out of bounds stuff, and somehow I started carrying Ashley around like a duffel bag, and it was great. And so that was always a fun time. But a lot of these things do get found by accident. So a couple of other things to go over. We do have quick turns and stair skates. Those are two of probably the most used techniques in this run. And a lot of that just has to do with, just basic movement, trying to optimize how quickly we are getting from point A to point B. So you'll notice that I'm kind of tapping the aim button while turning either left or right. And that allows me to sharply turn the corners. And then I'm also tapping the aim button while I am making my way upstairs, which just makes things a little bit faster when it comes to climbing up and down the various things in this game. So we are going to grab the spade key. Another thing that is pretty commonly worked on in this game is the menuing. I don't think that the menu strats have changed a ton over the years, and I'm using some older strats in this playthrough as well. I'm actually going to grab this this bag over here just to hopefully save a little time here soon. But I am using some older strats, and the main reason for that is because I just kind of want to showcase a little bit easier way to run the game, because the way the strats are now is they are a little they're a little crazy to deal with. So I'm doing some pretty ancient strats as far as that's concerned. Normally you would actually drop, that's also unfortunate. Normally you would actually drop down the staircase to kind of skip this part here, but just in case we get some bad Mr. X RNG later, I'm actually going to opt to save that so that I can put some distance between the two of us if that ends up being an issue. And essentially what we are doing right now, which forgive the field of view situation that we're experiencing on these puzzles, I'm using RE overlay, which is a dependency for some of the other things when you're like playing mods and stuff like that. So kind of affects the FOV when you're doing puzzles a little bit. So I apologize for that. But RPD1, essentially what we're doing is we are collecting these 3 medallions so that way we can make our way down into the lower part of the police station. Leon seems to think that that's a way out. He's going to be sorely mistaken. If you do the aim tech that I just did right there, where you kind of aim towards the wall, you can actually lurch forward instead of backwards when that helicopter crashes.
Marvin, I've got a situation here.
And we're just kind of chilling here real quick while we wait for Leon to attempt to communicate with Marvin. He's not going to have much luck with that. So, and then the fine young man that we were talking about earlier, sometimes he can troll here. So just to try to be a little safer, I'm just going to do a bit of a pause buffer to see. He's over there. He's in a good spot. Not too big. And in this room, we are looking to grab, notably, the valve handle. And we're also looking to grab the fuse. And we're going to drop that fuse off right here. And that's going to open up a shortcut for us. One thing a lot of people do with this game, in addition to the speedrun scene, is the randomizer for this game is actually really, really great. And so the randomizer makes things pretty interesting when it comes to the different shortcuts. For example, the fuse, because sometimes you don't get a fuse, and that can make things pretty chaotic when you're trying to. And a lot of people do the randomizers on hardcore. So like when you're on hardcore, you're trying to save health and ammo as much as possible, and you don't find a fuse. Therefore, you don't have a shortcut, and you have to constantly take the long way around. It can be pretty hectic. So it's a good thing that in the speedrun we don't have to worry about, and that's nice and consistent, and the route in general just comes together really well, which is honestly something that I think is one of the reasons why this game is just so beloved by so many people, is the fact that the route itself is just really, really clean, and it was optimized fairly early, and it doesn't have a lot of things that just make the run feel unnecessarily tedious. And I think especially when I consider whether or not I'm going to run a game, a lot of it does come down to like, do I feel like the run just kind of comes together? This run came together so well, so early on, and with the community just being as involved as it was, sub-hour was routed fairly quickly. I believe Trance was one of the first people to get sub-hour, and again, just having so many people in the community just being active makes a big difference. I'm hoping. Oh no, we're getting the worst luck on these zombies and lickers today. So what you're seeing me do there by looking backwards when that licker is in place is it actually kind of makes the licker normally be a little bit more shy. And it was rather unfortunate that it did not go according to plan there, because it is pretty cool when you get to see that strat pay off. Now I've already grabbed the knife here. I'm going to hope that I'm actually going to play things a little safer because he's in a slightly different spot than he normally is. But we're going to shift this bookcase over a little bit here, and what that does is it makes it so that when Mr. X is chasing us later, we don't have to deal with all of the nonsense of him trying to punch us all at the same time that we are trying to move that shelf. So now we have the electronic gadget. We're going to combine that with the battery. We're going to place that. And then one very important step that you want to do here before you potentially lock yourself out is you want to at least come over here and open that door so that the bookcase doesn't fall over. And if you're playing the game casually, that will probably happen to you in your first playthrough. And there is a licker that spawns in this room. And it can be pretty dangerous when you have to fight a licker all at the same time while you're trying to escape the room. So the licker is going to drop. We're probably not going to see him. Well, okay, we do see him a little bit. He's right there. And next, we are going to drop down this ladder. And we are hoping that these zombies are just chilling. Oh, no. Okay, we got kind of lucky there, but no. Yeah, so this is Eleanor, and this entire room can just be an absolute mess if things like that happen, which is why RPD1 is pretty reset heavy. But the good news is there is actually quite a bit of healing in this run. So despite the fact that this run does have some pretty horrible things that can happen early on, the good news is that when you're just learning the run, there is a lot of health around. So you don't really have to worry too much about resetting in the early days of running this when you're just kind of pulling things together. And so just the abundance of it in general. Like there's a first aid spray here, which... typically, I like to save this for RPD2 because if Mr. X decides to be particularly unfriendly, it is nice to have that available. That fast is quite valuable, I would say. So we are done with the spade key at this point. We're not going to be using that for the rest of the run, so we're going to go ahead and drop that off. And we're going to be moving towards our first boss. And, again, we have full health now, so, we're in great shape here, and we shouldn't have too much to worry about. And as I mentioned before, we are going to be using some safe strats, mainly so I can kind of showcase to new runners, what's kind of around. So, for example, you don't typically use this grenade in standard, but in hardcore, I think some of the hardcore runs still use it. But it's a guaranteed stagger on pretty much any enemy in the game, and for a lot of the smaller enemies, it kills them in one hit. And so I'm going to take that just in case, as we can already tell, this run has gone swimmingly so far. So just in case we need any sort of a reinforcement later, we're going to take that. And so we are coming up on the first boss. This is G1, and you're about to see something pretty amazing with what the devs decided to do with the knife in this game. I will explain it momentarily after he goes down with pretty much minimal issues. And he pretty much gets instantly deleted with the knife. I was watching Punchy's run, actually, and he was talking about how in Seven Mansions that the knife is a pretty strong weapon. And the same can absolutely be said in this game. And the knife in this game is arguably the strongest knife that we have in Resident Evil games. Probably second to Code Veronica. The knife is pretty useful in Code Veronica as well. Not quite as strong as it is in this game, but it is also fairly strong. But the devs, I'm not sure entirely why they did this, but for some reason they bound the knife keyframes to the actual frame rate of the game. So the more frame rate that you have, the more damage the knife does. Well, okay, so I shouldn't be entirely misleading here. There's a pouch in this chest for anybody that, or in that locker for anybody that is looking for a pouch. Again, you don't need that optimally, but I'm going to grab it just for safety. But yeah, so I mean, just with a lot of the different strategies and things like that, again, as you're learning the run, it's nice to kind of know where things are, just in case you need a backup strat or something like that. And I typically do include this game in a lot of the marathons that I do. So having that as a safety strat if I'm playing on like hardcore or something like that, which does have slightly different item placements and fewer pouches in general, but just generally knowing where ammo and healing items and stuff is pretty helpful for anybody playing this game. So we're going to be meeting Mr. Ben, and our objective here is to grab this crank because this crank is going to open up a little bit more of the police station. And he wants us to let him out, and in order to do that, we need to fix the power down here. And we needed to fix that in more ways than one. So number one, we have to route power to the other part of the basement so that we can turn on the actual power. And then we also have to get the parts so that we can then route the power directly to the jail cell, which will give us the good old-fashioned key card that eventually we will be using to escape from the RPD. But fun fact, Ben doesn't make it very far. It's not like it is an RE2 classic where where he sticks around a while. He comes and goes all in one cutscene. So it's a good time. It's a jolly good time. We love RE2 Remake. Yeah, the crank is a Leon exclusive item. You actually don't get this item at all in Claire's story. And the exclusive item in Claire's story is the heart key. So you do have some exclusive areas, which does add a little bit of variety to the Leon and Claire story, respectively. Unfortunately, we didn't get the same treatment with the A and B scenarios, but all the same, this game has a lot to offer in terms of replayability, pretty much all around. So we're going to solve this puzzle. That's going to turn on the power to the basement that allows us to get back upstairs. We did find our first power part in that orange box. We still have to go up to the second part of RPD and grab the other power part. Yeah, spoiler alert for a 5-year-old game in case any of you guys haven't played. Anywho, so yeah, dogs are free from what I'm told, so I'm definitely not taking a very specific line that substantially reduces tongue-in-cheek and substantially reduces the likelihood of getting hit by dogs. Dogs are totally free in this game, so I've heard. But we are now heading upstairs into RPD2. And we very soon are going to be meeting everybody's favorite enemy in this game. Before I do that, I do need to go into this room, actually, and grab the other fuse. There's actually 2 fuses in this game. And another fun fact for you, you can actually, if you're playing in a randomizer, you can actually use either fuse on the shutters. Wow, that was troll. Yeah, you can use either fuse on either shutter, even though they're labeled for specific things. Which is pretty exciting, because if you find a fuse, it just might be the thing. That saves you. Oh, man. Oh, no. We are getting the absolute best of luck. That's okay. Again, as I mentioned earlier, there is a lot of healing items in this game, so if you do end up in a precarious situation, fear not. Hello, there's some health. We can get back into fine, no problem. There are also some rather specific lines that you can take in the speedrun as you continue to get better at the game that will make those quite a bit easier to navigate. There is always some chance, as with pretty much anything in this game, not every enemy is exactly positioned exactly the same. So sometimes you can get some rather wonky enemy placements that will make it to where even if you practice a line really well, it's not always 100% consistent every single time. Now, I do this all the time when I run this game, is I actually forget to grab the gear in here. So we're going to make sure that we grab that. We're going to do that. We need this gear so that way we can drop the staircase in the clock tower later. That's going to be a pretty big thing that we're going to want to do so that we can get that other part that I was mentioning earlier. Another kind of exclusive area to Leon in this speedrun as well is that this is actually boarded up, this little electricity room something or another. So you don't actually go in here. I'm going to lure these 2 out because I'm not getting the best scenario right now. You can actually flash grenade the 2 of these zombies and make things just a little bit easier to navigate. And if you have an optimal line there, wow, we're getting very good luck right now. I love it. Oh no. Yes, we have gotten the best of luck. We love it. No, there is a line there that's actually pretty consistent. Admittedly, like I said, I'm not doing world record strats today, so we're not going to see the absolute utmost optimal things. But I am going to grab because I've had to spend a little more ammo than normal. I'm going to grab that, and there he is, everybody's favorite tyrant, Mr. X.
Jesus Christ.
And if you aim there and bait that punch, he will do that every single time, making it very, very easy to get by him. That is one of the very few things that is consistent in this run, is that you can use that to your advantage. I'm going to grab the herb that is over here. Again, overabundance of healing items in this game. We like to see that, so we're going to get back into fine. And now we are heading for the clock tower. So we're going to head up. Actually, sorry, before we do that, we do need to head over into the other room here and grab the jack handle. And we're going to hope that he plays nicely. Very nice. We'll grab that, and we're probably going to hear... I'm stuck. There we go. We're probably going to hear Mr. X coming around the corner here. We want to hope that this guy plays nice. There he is, and just like we did earlier, we're going to do that tech there, and again, consistently, we are able to get by him without too many issues. I don't have any inventory space. I was going to grab a safety heal just because of how amazing this run has been so far, but unfortunately, we do not have the space. What I can do, actually, is I can get rid of this knife, and I will need some space. We're going to take a shot right here to try and lure the enemies away from the handle. If you fire your weapon, it actually distracts enemies in this game, which is kind of huge for strats like this, where you're kind of vulnerable for a while. And again, not 100% consistent, so here we are. But the good news is that it actually did still move the shelves, even though I was in a bite animation, so that is one thing that's kind of nice if that happens. Not the worst thing in the world to happen, so. And now we are actually heading into the clock tower. There is a zombie up here. Usually you can get by without too many issues. There it is. We're going to drop off that gear to drop the staircase, and we got to make sure that we pick it back up because we do need it again later. There it is. And now we're going to go up the stairs. We're kind of running around with gears here for a quick moment before we get an infamous one-liner from Leon. We'll grab the small one here. We'll trade that out for the big one. Whoever was servicing the clock tower clearly was not a master mechanic and had no idea what they were doing, so. And this is going to be what allows us to get the second electronic part
Hope I don't have
to get us our key card to where we can leave the RPD. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can go about getting downstairs in pretty much from the time that you leave the clock tower until actually like going into the basement again to drop off the electronic parts. There's a couple different ways of doing it. They are about the same, give or take a couple of seconds. But generally speaking, if you want to play it safe, this path tends to be a little bit safer because Mr. X, if he is in the library when you are on your way out, he can intercept you. And although you can use that aiming tech to, again, consistently get him to do the punch, the corridors, as you may or may not have noticed in this game, are quite narrow. And so if he happens to be at a poor angle, it can be a less than desirable situation. So we try to avoid those situations where possible. especially for marathon strats. Again, I do run this game in marathons pretty often, and I tend to not do like the world record YOLO strats or anything like that, just because I personally find the game a little bit more enjoyable when I create a less stressful environment for myself. So, but yeah, when you're grinding for world record, of course, you're going to obviously do, you know, whatever is the fastest, regardless of whether or not it is particularly consistent. And despite the fact that there are quite a few things that can go wrong in this run, of all the RE games out there, this is definitely one of the more consistent runs. And over the years, there's been quite a bit of overlap between this run and knife only, actually, just because of how strong the knife is. All right, so we are ready to do this puzzle. We'll see if I can remember how to do it ultra fast here. Oh gosh, I can't see. All right, I can't see too well here, but we're gonna get it right here in just a moment. There it is. I missed the one because of the FOV mod. I forgot to install that before the stream. That's my bad. Again, that's the RE overlay, which is part of pretty much how to do anything outside of just running the game normally. Like if you interact with any of the like first person mods or anything like that, all of that is done through the RE overlay, which does unfortunately modify the FOV a little bit, makes it kind of hard to see. So I do apologize for that. That is not normally something that I would have on. I can't remember what the mod was that I did recently. I think it was the Nightmare mod, which is insanely hard, by the way. Probably not as hard as some of the RE4 remake mods out there, but definitely up there. All right, so we got our key card, and we are now leaving the RPD for good. If you're playing the game casually, you can actually come back to the RPD, but of course in the speedrun, we don't have time for that, so we're going to be leaving. And we're going to be heading over to the Kendo gun shop.
No. Ben didn't come through.
And unfortunately, Ben did not come through.
More info on the people responsible for this mess.
Now, I'm going to do something here that is a little different. As again, I've mentioned numerous times, I'm not doing world record strats. I am doing a little bit of a safer strat for the end game here. So I'm actually going to be grabbing an upgrade for the shotgun. Even though I don't have the shotgun yet, there's actually a way to get the shotgun in the laboratory if you don't pick it up in the RPD. This is a strat that we used for a very, very long time in the speedruns, where we would skip the shotgun in the RPD, and then we would use our we would use that with the attachment in order to do a lot of the eye popping necessary to stagger Birkin in the labs. So the strats now are pretty intense. You actually now, it's pretty much entirely done with the knife, and you have to use some quite precise angles, and the angles are actually different with Leon and Claire. So if you're running both categories, you have to practice it 2 different ways.
Based on what you've said.
And so again, you know, just in the interest of accessibility and trying to showcase this for potentially new runners of the game, I would definitely recommend starting with the shotgun strats, because they are not too much slower and much more consistent.
Come on.
Because you actually don't need to grab any shotgun ammo at all during the run. You just use the 4 shells that you get from the upgrade that we picked up, in addition to the 4 shells that come with the shotgun when we take when we pick it up in the lab. So
What the hell?
all right, now I did drop the spade key off early, so we shouldn't need to. Oh, I can drop off the club key actually. So in optimal runs, you usually still have the spade key, and you can drop it off there if you're not leaving room for extra heals. So again, earlier I did opt in for some safety strats to take the extra bags and drop off the key early. And otherwise, you would normally have the spade key there, and you can drop it off there while you have the item box. Menuing is a very time-consuming part of this game, if not done optimally. We of course have the sewer gator here. But yes, optimal menuing in terms of just like where you place the items in your inventory as you pick them up, as well as understanding where to use the item boxes and things like that throughout the run, really saves a lot of time over the course of the run as you start to get better and better at it. All right. We are going to be coming up on the Ada section very soon as well.
Chew on that, you overgrown son of a bitch.
We gotta love the Leon one-liners. Not just in this game, but also in RE4 Remake. I can't get enough of the good Leon one-liners. I very much
Leon,
enjoy
up here.
Nick Apostolides as Leon.
What the hell was...
Just get up here. Can't say I didn't warn you.
You said the virus turned people into
We're
monsters,
entering a
not
little bit more
reptiles.
chill part of the run.
I'm just impressed you made it in one piece.
A lot of elevators and hanging out, waiting for things to happen. Eck, if you have any plugs for GDQ, if you would like to insert them here, this would be a great opportunity to do so.
Honestly, you're pretty good yourself. Let me see if I can find something here. Before I find something, I do want to say, I'll say two things. How's that
So let me
sound?
get this straight.
Sure.
For one, how about we do any subs, Prime Gaming, gifted subs and bits shared on the GDQ Twitch channel and do help support the GDQ Hotfix. If you enjoy watching the speedruns, consider subscribing to the channel.
And Annette is who makes the
And then
virus.
two as well, if you've been enjoying Hazeblade, his link is pinned in the comment above. Go ahead and check him out. There's a lot of not only horror games, but a lot of high skill games as well. We've had him on before with Back 4 Blood, funny enough. And I believe, you've done Elden Ring and a few other things. Feel free to talk about yourself. But you can find the link there.
Run, Annette. But you can't.
All right,
hide.
secret weapon time for Ada. So we're going to get the
Secret weapon.
amazing hacking tool, which we see for about 2 minutes and then never again in any RE game ever. But yeah, so if you guys are looking to learn a little bit more about the content that I do, yeah, so as X said, I do fairly recently, I would say in the past year or so, I've really started to branch and sort of spread my wings a little bit beyond just RE games. I pretty much streamed exclusively RE games for a number of years. I started, my very first speed game was RE1 Remake. And that, of course, evolved into RE2 Remake, RE3 Remake, and RE4 Remake. all the remakes, really, in addition to a handful of others. There's a couple of lines. If you take the most optimal line, you can actually run right past that zombie. But yes, I am pretty excited for the Elden Ring expansion. If any of you in the chat are pretty hyped for that, feel free to make yourselves known. I'm pretty excited for that myself. And as mentioned before, I've been doing a lot of non-horror stuff as well. But of course, I do like to go back to my roots where I can and show the love to the games that have really just been so impactful in my speedrunning career in general.
Got you now.
All right, Mr. X is going to be making another appearance. Hello there. Oh, we're going to see him in the corner. There we go.
Persistent bastard, aren't you?
We're going to hear him, but we're not going to see him. Oh, no. I did it in backwards order. That's my bad. Okay, we get to make things really nail-biting at this stage. He's right behind us. Except not really, because I'm pretty sure. So remember DA that I mentioned earlier. So I've been hit quite a few times in this run so far. So my DA is actually probably quite a bit lower than it would normally be at this phase, considering that I've had to pick up and use quite a few healing items. I've definitely spent more ammo than normal, although ammo is kind of in equilibrium with, like, when you pick up ammo and then you spend ammo, it returns the same value as if, you never had the ammo in the first place. But taking damage and dying specifically lowers DA quite a bit, which we haven't died yet, thankfully. But it is definitely
Bravo.
a scenario where the game is going to treat things a little bit easier considering the damage that I've taken. So we now have a puzzle with the hacking tool where we are on a timer coming up here. And some fun tech here is that if you mash the scan button with it, or the hack button, I should say, it actually will scan, or rather fill up the scan meter a little bit faster. And when you're doing hyper optimal strats here, you'll actually be ramping up 2 of these at the same time.
She's doing.
And if you watch world record speedrunners do this, it is pretty mind-boggling to watch. It does require a little bit of practice to really fine-tune managing the fill-up bars of 2 at a time. But yeah, you do fill up 2 at a time optimally, and it saves, I want to say it's like maybe 5 or 6 seconds. It is definitely not a huge amount of time, but it's definitely enough that it's, if you're going for world record strats, it's definitely worth practicing for sure.
Ada, where are you?
All right, Leon is now on a quest to find Ada. Heading into the sewers. Everybody's favorite part of the game. Where we have arguably the cheapest enemies in the game. Which are the G adults. And if anybody happened to have caught, I did run this game at GDQ X 2019. And my tofu run, I had a particularly frustrating encounter with the G adult during the tofu run, where it became a battle of attrition to see who was going to give up first. Thankfully, I won that battle, and we were able to finish the tofu run. But it was a nail biter for sure. And as we head down this staircase, again, for newer runners that might be interested in learning this game, you can grab this knife here. It is not required unless you happen to have accidentally used an extra knife in self-defense earlier in the run. You don't have to grab it. Of course, again, we have extra bag space in this run, so I will grab it just for the sake of grabbing it. But we should be more than set on knives for the rest of the run. Now, one thing that is nice about these G adults is you can shoot them early, and as long as you're not too close, they'll pop up without staggering you, and then you can run by without too many issues. That works for this one and a couple of others across both Claire and Leon's story. Unfortunately, there are a couple that does not work on, and as you'll see here fairly soon, you'll need some rather specific timing to get through without a dilemma, shall we say. All right, so we're going to drop down into the area where Capcom's favorite object, the sluice, is waiting for us. Capcom are the true sluice masters. They love their sluices. I didn't even know what a sluice was until I played Revelations 2. And then ever since then, it's been sluices in like basically every game. We love our sluices. All right, we're grabbing the T-bar handle, which is the sort of flagship key item that we're going to be leveraging throughout the entire sewer. We're going to come down here, and because I have no time to mess around with these guys, we are going to just do one of those and handle that situation quickly. I think I got a bit of an unfortunate scenario where that guy lived, but it is not a big deal. We will take care of him later. All right, if we hug this wall here, we can get by this guy without a stagger. T-bar handle once again. And there is going to be a pouch at the top of this elevator that we are about to ascend, which again, I'm going to grab that because who doesn't like extra bag space? One of the staples of early RE games is the limited bag space. And even in RE4 Remake or RE4 Classic as well, bag space is of course limited, but substantially more abundant compared to these games. So I'm picking up this handgun ammo here just to have some, but I'm just basically firing off all of the extra rounds. And so again, we can shoot this guy here to wake him up early and avoid that stagger. And that should take care of the zombies down here. We have plenty of grenades, and we really shouldn't need them beyond clearing zombies and whatnot. There's a few different spots where we like to use their grenades to make things safer from a marathon perspective. But again, when you're going for record strats, if I recall correctly, you may grab one, but I don't know how many you actually grab anymore. Again, it has been a number of years since I have attempted world record in this game. Which is, as you can probably imagine, quite optimal being a 5-year-old game, but they are still trading records back and forth every once in a while. So this is that part that I was mentioning earlier where you do need slightly specific setup situation here. You can do this. And if you shoot him, oh no, I missed it. That's okay. That's okay. So instead of using well, actually, I actually have an extra grenade here, so I can use the grenade here to hopefully get by. Unfortunately, if you use a knife there, he will instantly grab you again if you don't run away. But since I had an extra grenade, I didn't feel bad about using it there. But yes, if you shoot him at a specific interval after you pass that first G-adult, he'll actually just do this like random dive, and then you won't see him for the rest of the time that you are in the sewers, which is quite nice. And in here, our objective is to grab these plugs, but we have to do some trading of the plugs across the different doors in order to unlock the door back to the entrance. And once that's done, we'll be in possession of both the king and the queen plug. And then, of course, we'll have to go back through that area where the G-adult placements are going to be a little different than they were on the way in, and we're also not going to be taking the exact same way back that we initially took. If I run into many issues here, I'll probably just go ahead and reload the save. That is one nice thing about this one, is that there are autosaves. All right, so we got great RNG here. He's actually spitting out embryos, which when he does that, he does not grab at all, so we get a free pass. That is exactly what you're looking for optimally in this run. Then, of course, we also have this guy. As soon as he grabs, you can drop down and run past him. There is a very risky line that you can take where you actually go around the side and his lunge misses. I have not practiced that ever in my life, but I have seen record runners do it, and it's pretty impressive to watch. I definitely recommend, by the way, checking out the SRC leaderboards and taking a look at a handful of the runners on there. I want to give a shout out to Lucy Lover, who is just an incredible runner of this game and has a very deep passion for really running all of the different categories. And he kind of got his start by watching a lot of the world record traders back in the early days of this run, and he's kind of emerged as one of the top runners, and he's great to watch. I definitely recommend checking him out. I believe this is king, queen, pawn. We are putting the bishop right here. This one is the rook. And this one is the knight. And at this point, we are going to be heading to the next boss, which is G2, a fairly... I actually don't have my SRT running, so I have absolutely no idea what his health value is, so I'm going to have to watch for the color of his eye. I am using uncapped frame rate, so hopefully that will spell a scenario where we'll be able to drop him down a little faster than normal. So if you throw that grenade there with proper timing, you should get an instant phase here without having to avoid the arm, which we did. That's good. We're going to run around. I believe it's his right side. I always get Claire and Leon backwards. I always get this fight backwards on whether you go left or right, but it shouldn't matter too much since we're going to use the flash grenade here, so shouldn't be too bad. Now we do need to drop him here. And with the knife, some tech that we can go over here very quickly is that if you go into the menu and trade out your knife while also unequipping the handgun, it actually cancels the knife swap animation, which saves quite a bit of time when you're trying to clean this up optimally. Now, I'm a little nervous here. I think that'll get him. There it is. Good fight. Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier, with uncapped frame rate, you can take care of bosses with the knife pretty fast, but on the leaderboards themselves, they do actually require that you cap your frame rate to 120 in order to keep it fair and avoid a situation where somebody's computer might be more powerful, therefore they get substantially higher frame rates and kill bosses faster. We've kind of dubbed the 120 FPS sort of as the standard, but you can run the game on 60 FPS as well if you would like to, and there are separate boards for that as well. And we are now finished with the sewers, and we're now making our way towards the labs, which is the final segment of the game. And if you shift boost right here, sometimes you can squeeze past Ada if you get the smaller hitbox, and you can pull this lever early. Unfortunately, I did not get so lucky.
This may be a one-way ride, so be prepared.
You typically want to angle a little bit further more left than I did there, and that should get you the line more consistently to where you can go in front of her. We're going to get the ID wristband. And now we are moving into the lab. Show y'all where the shotgun is here fairly soon. It'll be in the room where in Claire's story where you drop off Sherry. It'll be in that room. And in Claire's story, you'll actually get the grenade launcher in there. It's essentially the contents of the weapons locker is what ends up in that room if you don't loot the weapons locker in the RPD and you go to this point, because this is officially the point in the run where you are not able to go back to the RPD. All the way up until that point, you are able to go back. But as soon as you board the tram and pull that lever, that is the point of no return where you can no longer get back. So it's pretty important that any loose ends that you need to tie up, you'll want to make sure to take care of that before arriving at the lab there. Now, I did not shoot around. Normally, you shoot around at that blue door on the way in. I did not do that, so I am probably going to get... Oh, that's right. I'm not playing Claire, so we don't need that. We just need the wristband. I'm going to go ahead and equip one of these, because if he grabs me instead of... Oh, never mind. If he grabs me, I was going to try to use the knife there, but it's not a big deal since we do have that full heal that we hung on to, and I'm going to go ahead and at least delete one of those knives so that way we have some extra bag space for later. We're going to be picking up the dispersal cartridge soon, so we do need some bag space there. And again, when you're going for record, you already know exactly where all of the items are going to be in your inventory. So as new items get picked up, you're kind of dragging them into a specific spot, like you see me doing with the attachment to the shotgun there. And optimally in the speedrun, when you're not getting hit by enemies and having to pick up excess heals and things like that, those items are always in the same spot so that you kind of build muscle memory for where that mouse is going to go, and expediting, of course, the amount of time you can save by doing those menus faster. So yes, as I mentioned earlier, the shotgun there now has 8 rounds, and we won't need to pick up any more shotgun shells. The 8 shots that we have there is more than enough to pop the eyes that G3 has. And we'll actually have a few shells left over. So, but we do need that attachment because it does give us enough shells to finish it, because the large eye on his shoulder actually requires 2 shots, unfortunately. But again, if you're going for world record, you don't need the shotgun at all. You can just go in there with the knife and practice that boss for probably about 10 hours, just getting all of the angles figured out, and then at that point, you'll kind of just be at the mercy of hopefully executing all of those things properly in a row. This keypad puzzle is always the same. It's a little confusing, of course, because you can't really clearly see what the numerical values are, but it's just like a 10 keypad. And so if you just kind of treat it as those are your numbers and you just remember the numbers, it's fairly straightforward to do that puzzle quickly. And then we have a back-to-back puzzle here with the dispersal cartridge.
Manual mode engaged. Adjust amount of solution to match cartridge.
And it's red, green, blue, red, green, blue, red, green as the solution. It is different in the B scenarios. I believe it's blue, red, green. I think it's 3 times. I think you repeat that 3 times, if I'm not mistaken, in B scenarios. They did change up the puzzle solutions a little bit in the B scenarios, just so that you kind of have to figure it out all over again. So there's our dispersal cartridge. We're ready to go to the basement. There is a grenade in here, by the way. I'm not going to take it. But again, for safety, if you end up needing a grenade, there is one in that back corner. Oh, man. Oh, man. He is hungry. All right. Those IVs are a one-hit kill, so it is definitely advised to not get hit by them. Definitely would not recommend. Another great spot for a grenade here, which again, if you're going for world record, I don't believe they do this anymore, but you can throw a grenade right in between all these zombies. And that'll take care of that situation fairly quickly. Oh, that's just mean. That's just mean. There is a green herb in that room, so if things go horribly up here, there is healing in that room if we get bad luck. We're gonna go ahead and grab signal mod. I am gonna be using flash grenades in that room, so. And yes, we are not on high DA for this part of the run, so these... Okay, never mind. We are on high DA. That's great. Now we're running into a little bit of a risky scenario, because if I die here, I'm actually going to go back to a checkpoint that's not exactly close. So I'm going to play things a little safe in here, and I'm actually going to walk, which, funny enough, when you're in danger is really not that much slower than running in danger anyway, so shouldn't be too big of a deal. But that green herb is right there, so shouldn't be a big deal. And even if our friends here decide to aggro, we shouldn't be too bad off. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be particularly safe here until we get to the point. Oops, I did not hit examine there. That's my bad. Finger slips. Hello. Oh goodness, that was scary. All right, I'm going to do a quick pause buffer strat here because I think he's right behind me. Here we go. All right, I'm just going to be super safe here because I really cannot afford for them to be mean to me here. So normally, if we weren't in a scenario where I would go back to a checkpoint that is like 4 minutes away, I would not be walking through that room. I would be throwing a flash grenade. And if I got hit and brought into caution, I would just go ahead and use that green herb to go into fine. But, of course, I don't want to lose 4 minutes, so we are not going to do that. Always in the name of safety when in doubt. Going to go as fast as we can there. Unfortunately, that was an unfortunate situation with getting grabbed there. I thought we might have still been below rank 7 DA. And as I mentioned earlier with DA, the better you play, the higher the DA goes. And typically when you start killing bosses with the knife, the DA does ramp up rather quickly. And again, I'm going to walk through here because there's not a heal nearby, interestingly enough. So there's not too much else that can damage us at the end of this run after we get past this room. So I'm going to be fairly safe here, even though normally we would just run through this room. We've had a few too many situations where we took damage, so I just wanted to be particularly safe there. But we are going to be finishing off that dispersal cartridge puzzle. Okay, that's not good. We don't have any ammo now. So we're going to have to use a grenade here. Not a big deal. We have extra, so It's not the worst thing. This is again why I grabbed some extra stuff just to be particularly safe, because a lot of things can happen. This game does not have as bad of bloom as RE4 Remake does, so with practice, those shots can be lined up to be fairly consistent.
Your actions have been logged, and you may be subject
I see my aim has gotten rusty over the years, though.
to disciplinary measures.
I'm gonna try to squeeze by this guy. There we go. All right, we should be pretty good here. I am going to use one of these grenades in this hallway to hopefully take care of these two. And we won't need the grenades for any of the bosses because we'll have plenty of knives, so. I will go ahead and grab this herb, though, because why not? And we'll be heading to the end game. We have a couple of bosses left. And at this point, we just have G3, Mr. X, and we'll be wrapped up here in just a few minutes. So, yeah, this run, like I said, is great. It has a special place in my heart. And even though I haven't grinded it aggressively it's been a couple of years now, I love coming back to the game and just enjoying the game for what it is. It's a great game. I think Capcom did a great job with the overall reimagining side of things, and trying to keep as much of the old in as possible while innovating with the new. And it definitely is a reason why I've got almost 2,000 hours in it. I've loved every moment of playing this game. Has been an absolute joy for me. So it's definitely nice to be able to come on to GDQ and showcase it. And I'll of course be covering that at the end of the run. But thank you for GDQ. Thank you to GDQ for having me. I do greatly appreciate it. And I love nothing more than showcasing my favorite games in front of you all. So
Cheers.
all right. So Leon is going to do an oopsie here in just a moment. And he's going to take something that doesn't belong to him, and that's going to create some problems here in the
All right.
in the laboratory.
Now back to Ada.
So we're going to get our shotgun out and prepare for this fight. This fight, if I do it well, should not be very long at all.
Facility lockdown initiated.
So we're going to open with the shotgun.
Class A breach.
We're going to shoot this leg, 2 shots to the shoulder. We're going to wrap around, shoot his back, and then we're going to be keeping an eye on the durability of the knife. And we're just going to lay into his back at sort of this like 45-degree angle. I broke the knife. That's my bad. Shouldn't make a difference. And he should fall over pretty soon here. We're going to go in front of him to try to get some weak point damage there. Oh, uh-oh. Okay. Well, let's see if we can maybe finish it up with a grenade. Okay, that doesn't normally happen. Normally you have a little bit more damage and he will die there. Not sure entirely what happened, but that's okay. Not a big deal. We can finish it off with the shotgun, hopefully right here. Okay, I'm really not sure why he's not dead yet. Man, I really laid into him. I was really expecting a kill there. I must not have done enough weak point damage, which is a bit unexpected there. He should go down. He should be really close. We're gonna be fine. There should be another grenade over here that we can take to try and clean it up that way. There it is. Perfect. That was definitely not what I expected. I have no idea how that happened. Normally you lay into him there, and that normally takes care of it. So I'm not entirely sure what happened. I could have used a couple of grenades there at the start of the fight to do some extra damage, but that was rather unusual. I think maybe my knife angle was slightly off. Admittedly, my Leon knife angle is not as polished as my Claire knife angle, and that is in part due to the fact that Leon, or I should say Claire, actually does have a slightly more generous, like, arcing sort of thing with her knife. the way that she slashes typically tends to land more hits versus Leon's. Leon tends to kind of go more horizontally, whereas Claire kind of goes more at like a, not quite a 45-degree angle, but it's at sort of an incline. And because of just how the boss weak points are structured in this game, Claire does tend to do a little bit more DPS in that scenario, but I think I maybe just was slightly off on that. But hey, what matters is that the boss went down and we didn't die. That's what matters, okay? So we are now, fighting against the very, very tight clock. We only have 9 minutes to get out of here. And I don't know. I think we're going to be cutting it close. I don't know. But just again, judging by how great the luck has been in this run, we're going to go ahead and grab that fast. And I did have to use all of my knives. So we're going to grab a knife here, which we can stun lock Mr. X with the knife. So that shouldn't be a problem. And we'll be making our grand escape. We're going to shoot the wall there to try to get that Ivy to just kind of ignore the fact that we're just scooting on by, and that worked, so I'll take it. We'll also go ahead and pop one of the pustules on that guy. There we are. We're climbing down the ladder. And wouldn't you know it, we're going to have a little surprise waiting at the bottom of this ladder for us. And I'm sure you probably never would have guessed that it was Mr. X. But alas, there he is. Determined to ensure that Leon does not escape in 8 minutes. In true Capcom fashion, we have an item that takes up a lot of inventory space for the final fight. And we're going to stun lock him. How do we do that? You guessed it, the knife. Okay, we'd normally stun lock him there. I was a little too close in front of him there, but that's okay, because guess what? We're going to do it again. There it is. And now that we have staggered him 3 times, so this took a little bit of mapping when the game was new, but the way that Mr. X works as an encounter is that the timer that you have to sit through accrues faster the more times that you stagger Mr. X, but it caps at 3 staggers. So I don't know what the actual percentages are, but when you stagger him once, you get an increase to the timer. When you stagger him twice, you get an increase. When you stagger him 3 times, you get an increase. But after the 3rd one, it's done, and you don't get any more. And then, of course, after that, we do the Mr. X dance, where we just stand on his weak arm, and every time he goes to slash us, we just walk past him. Very, very challenging endgame fight. I think this might be giving like Bloodborne or Elden Ring or something a run for its money on. There's just the overall difficulty. I mean, I can't even put into words how challenging it is. No, we love our endgame fights. It is the soundtrack really makes for a pretty hype endgame, even though the fight itself leaves a little bit to be desired in the speedrun. But we get to see that guy fly in the air, so that's fun. And time is coming up right now. There's time. GG.
GG.
So real quick, first and foremost, thank you to GDQ for having me. I love doing these shows. They are an absolute blast. I love Hotfix. I love the mainline events. Love GDQX, Frame Fatales, Frost Fatales. I love all of the GDQ assortment. And it is absolutely amazing to be able to be a part of it. And if you guys are interested in checking out my content, you can find me over at twitch.tv/Hazeblade or youtube.com/HazebladeTV. I do stream on both YouTube and Twitch. And again, we do really anything in between horror, RPG, Souls-like. I just recently did a roughly 2.5 month long marathon where all I did was play Souls-like games that I have never played before. We got through a ton of games, hundreds of hours kind of went into like planning which games we were going to play. And it was really a blast. And I myself am very, very excited for the Elden Ring expansion. I will most certainly be looking to speedrun that. And who knows, maybe be able to showcase that for all of you in the future. So again, thank you to GDQ so much for having me. Hope to see you over on my channel, and I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely. Thank you again for that run of RE2. If you want to see the final time really quick, you can feel free to hop on over to that end screen there.
All right, I'll take it. We had some some rough enemies there, but not too bad. Not too bad. I'll take it.
Absolutely. As well, if anyone did want to check out Hazeblade, once again, you can find the link in both Twitch chat, and I think it might still be pinned. Yes, it is. So you can find it there. Anyway, I do want to say thank you once again, Hazeblade.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. As well, a couple more things before we get to our next run. Right now, we've opened up voting. So if you want to vote on the Clock Tower category, we have Jennifer 100% and Helen 100%. We'll keep this voting up through the little Be Right Back break. And before we do go to Be Right Back, I do want to say that Sonic and the Sidekicks is coming June 1st and 2nd. If you speedrun a game with any of the Sonic's friends, use !Sonic for more info. Anyway, we'll be right back. All right, everyone, welcome back from the break. Hope you all been enjoying the GDQ Hotfix today on today's episode of Speedruns from the Crypt. Before we get back into the show, I do want to mention that if you missed out on any of our shows or events, you can always check out the VODs on youtube.com/gamesdonequick. Anyway, I'm actually one of your runners today. Originally, I did have a couple other games in mind. Unfortunately, one of our runners did have to drop, so I'll be filling in today, and we're actually deciding right now what the category will be. We do have a little bit more time left on that. Right now, we have Jennifer 100% at 45 votes, and Helen 100% at 54 votes. I don't know how much longer that poll is going to last, but we'll begin roughly when that's ready. We actually start a little bit before because they start the same, but that's where it will be. Anyway, yeah, we do have a couple more games for you. So this will be Clock Tower. Since we can pretty much go either category, I can just begin in a moment here if you want to count down. Anyway, if we're ready to go, how about we get started here? 3, 2, 1, let's go. So it's kind of weird because, I mean, you're wondering, hey, don't we need the category first? So the way the category works is that you actually decide like a minute or two in the run. And I figure if there's like, what, about a minute left, we can probably just let it ride. Or worst case scenario, I'll literally wait at the option. It helps to go be a little bit more seamless here. Anyway, going into the weird area of Clock Tower, this is Clock Tower 2, also known as Clock Tower, because the Clock Tower naming conventions are really weird. For the most part, this is probably the Clock Tower that a lot more people know, because this is the one that came out in North America. Originally, the Clock Tower on the Super Famicom never came out in North America, so a lot of people that aren't really familiar with that version, but they might know this version for a variety of reasons.
I'm taking her home.
But weirdly enough, this is actually the sequel, which is, point-and-click horror game.
Yes, Professor.
Our two characters are going to be these two ladies right here with Helen and Jennifer. So that's pretty much the route difference. Although, funny enough, to begin the game, we don't actually play either one of them. Instead, we're playing as Professor Barden. He's kind of the exposition dump as we go right now. We have two things we got to do, which is one, stare at the bench. And we're also going to be staring at the scissors. This is going to be a giant lore dump of things, so in case you're wondering, oh, why is it in Japanese? Because Japanese is a lot faster, because this game, surprisingly enough, has quite a lot of text. As well, for playing on a Japanese console, we also have a variety of things, like fast disc speed, which is going to make the voices sound kind of weird. Did it really tie? Why did it tie? I swear, every time I ever have any vote get done anywhere, it's always a tie. Anyway, I guess runner-up goes. You know what? I'll go this way. Richard, what would you want? I'm gonna ask our tech here because I don't feel right picking myself. All right, we're gonna go with Jennifer. Richard said Jennifer, so we're gonna go with the Jennifer route. Jennifer is the main character of the original Clock Tower game, so it works well there. Both routes are pretty fun though. I'll say right now, I definitely like the Jennifer route more than the Helen route. I can't believe it tied. Why did it tie? Anyway, for what we're doing in the intro here, in case you're wondering, all of the stuff right here. For the prologue, it really wants you to kind of take in the setting of what's been going on. So you need to talk to everything here. You need to talk to the statue. You need to talk to and the girl in the dress. That's Beth. You need to talk to her twice. You need to talk to this guy right here. I don't even remember his name, but you need to talk to him twice. And it's kind of like, oh, hey, it's just the lore dump from the last game, which, long story short, for those of you who may have played the original Clock Tower, or maybe wondering the story, there were Clock Tower murders, and now journalism is happening, which is bad, so they don't like that. And that's the plot of the game. It's a year later, and the Scissor Man is coming back, and it's kind of a big whodunit. For us, it means there's a lot of dialogue mashing. It is one of the downsides of this game. There is a lot of dialogue to be mashed as we go along with it, but I believe we're almost done with the very beginning here, and we can make our first choice of the game, provided I did this right. I did. Alright, so weirdly enough, the whole game is based on this one guy for some reason, and if you talk to him once, you get Helen. So what we're going to do is we're just going to talk to him twice. It's one of the weirdest ways that they've ever had a game decide what character you play as. Earlier we saw Seven Mansions, you pick right in the beginning. With RA2, you have a menu, Claire, Leon, and even as we go into the Alone in the Dark later, it'll be kind of right at the beginning. This game's kind of weird because it took us about like 3 minutes to get to the actual character choice, which ends up being pretty good timing. Anyway, for weird tech right now going into this game, it's going to be really dumb in a way, because normally most games have a sprint button. If you want to run, you imagine you probably have a good way of doing that, right? This game doesn't. What I mean by that is if you want to sprint, you have to like double click the action button. Like if you see the cursor pulsing, that's me pushing circle. Which in the Japanese version is going to be confirmed. That being said, you have to like quickly double tap it and not tap anymore. It's kind of a weird way, but if you don't do that, the characters don't run. They'll do this like weird stagger walk run thing. And a lot of the run is how much can you get the characters to run, which is, I guess, kind of weird, right? I don't know why Clock Tower games always make it so complicated to do something rather trivial. Anyway, more lore dump. The first intro of the run is a lot of clicking. So I guess right now, if anyone has any questions about Clock Tower, feel free to fire away. I'll be reading chat along with this. You're playing Clue instead of Clock Tower and 7 match. Pretty much. That's, I think this, like, I say this game's a lot like Scream. Like, the movie Scream, the big whodunit, Ghostface and all that. I really compared this game to that. I think it's one of the best comparisons by far. And weirdly enough, depending if you pick Jennifer or Helen, the story changes on, like, the whodunit mystery. So it's kind of fun that way. And the early game is kind of a way of getting the cast of characters. This is Nolan. He's a journalist, and we don't like him. And then there's Tim, who has the world's smallest camera. Apparently he's holding a camera. I don't see it. That's just his hand, but he has one. He's also taking, like, 9 pictures of the same, like, just... dude. Admittedly, I don't know the ethics of journalism, but I can't imagine that's how it works. It is. Clock Tower is indeed the one with the orphan meat mech. This game is the sequel to that. I'll say right now, there's one... Alright, so the funniest part about this game, this is Clock Tower 2, and the amount of clock towers in the game is there is one. However, we never actually see the clock tower in the speedrun. So... we're not going to go find the clock tower, because going to the clock tower is surprisingly enough slow. So in a speedrun for a game called Clock Tower, you don't actually go to find the speedrun. Does this game have a bounce mode? This game does have a bounce mode. However, I will not be doing it because what ends up happening is people get motion sick and then they complain the whole time. So I'd rather not have an hour long explaining why are they bouncing, what is going on, because that would not be very good for anyone. Anyway, this is kind of the little running thing I was talking about. You see the word staggering. Surprisingly enough, it's kind of hard to click things that are off screen, because that's how you move. Even weirder with this game is, well, first off, we're actually making a very important choice. We're actually kind of hitting tech right now. So, a lot of Clock Tower is mean because early game planning will decide your late game. What does that mean? It means if you choose the wrong choice in the early game, it will really mess up your late game. Like, straight up, you'll get locked out of the best endings if you don't choose correctly. So, right now, we're thinking, where do we want to send this Demon Idol? This Demon Idol is a major item. We have yes and no. The answer is actually yes. What this does is this sends it over to the second level. It is a choice of 2 areas, which is going to be the Old Man Rick's house or the Clock Tower, which I said earlier, the Clock Tower is much slower as a scenario, so we don't want to do it. The reason why is because it's much, much larger. It has like a bunch of different floors, a bunch of different puzzles. This way, we can just get into the Old Man's house and almost immediately dip. It's always going to be faster that way, in both Helen and Jennifer. Anyway, we talked to Harris again. We're all done with this guy. And now we can meet the last of our characters, really. Here is Edward and Kay, which I like their clothes because, like, they're just, like, shapes, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. I love PS1 graphics. Like, he has, like, a rectangle for pants, and she has, like, a trapezoid. It's just weird because, like, their shirts are, like, actual shirts, but they're, like, their pants are just shapes. Which I guess everything is shapes to a degree, but this guy's pants feel like pants, you know? I don't know, maybe I'm thinking too hard about it. Also, weirdly enough, while this game is Japanese developed, it takes place in Norway. Like, you'll look at the map. We're going to hit a map in a moment here, and it'll be hopping between a lot of locations, and it takes place in Oslo, Norway, which I don't know how major of a city that is, but Oslo, Norway. All right, if we did it right, we should have Jennifer. There she is. Okay, now we get to play the actual character we decided. We're no longer playing man. Now we're playing Jennifer. Okay, so the Jennifer routing. We have to go to a couple places. First things first, we're gonna be going over, like, this is like supposed to help you gather information so you can begin the actual case. It's kind of weird because Clock Tower is based in 2 modes. You have exploration mode, and then you have the level, like, hub mode. Right now we're in exploration mode, so we need to pass the story to get information. What this is going to be is pretty easy. We have to go to the hotel to talk to Kay and Edward. On every scenario, you end up doing this in the first scenario. And then afterward, we'll be going over to the school. One bit of minor tech when it comes to point-and-click speedrunning is going to be a little bit weird, but once we're done mashing this, you're going to see me put my cursor more towards the right. This is going to sound very minor, but, you know, have a game that's mostly mashing dialogue, every little bit of time save counts. So what we're going to want to do is, if I can put the cursor in the next position on the map, that is going to be incredibly ideal. The next position is going to be, like, right around there. However, the problem is I also want to make sure I'm still mashing their dialogue. So I kind of want to keep it more towards the right just so I can hit the school after this. So you'll see it's a little bit more towards the right. We have to go right there. Ideally, you would want to be right on the spot, but you would also have to have knowledge of the map and your cursor to a degree that's kind of ridiculous, which I guess is kind of funny. Anyway, while we're mashing dialogue, I want to see if I have a couple of things around here that are kind of cool, because I might be able to show some geeky stuff off, because I have some weird peripherals. But Clock Tower actually had... Let me see, do I have it around here? I do not. Oh wait, do I? No. I'll find it later. Alright, I've dropped, like, some papers, but that will be alright. And I went back to the dorm room, and there's be a guy in there who's the world's dumbest guy. We're not going to worry about this guy, but he has lore. Anyway, the thing I was looking for is I own a couple peripherals because I don't know how many of you are aware of PlayStation stuff, but this game was designed with 3 different controllers in mind. And I imagine a lot of you probably think of things like, you know, the PlayStation 2 controller, but you probably know things maybe like the steering wheel. If you ever play, like, a racing game on the PS1 or the PS2, you probably know, like, oh, the steering wheel controller, or maybe a fight stick, right? So this game had 2 weird controllers that worked with it, that wasn't just this. One was the PlayStation 1 mouse, which if I can find it later during a mashing section, I would love to do that. because it's literally like an old school ball mouse that you plugged into the PS1. And it's neat. I remember the last time you probably saw a ball mouse. Anyway, they spelled Scandinavia wrong. They spelled Skindinavia. That's how you know it's in, I guess, Norway. That's how it goes, right? But now we're actually in the game. I'll talk more about weird peripherals when we get back to dialogue mashing. Time for actual...
Please help me, someone.
Lore. Actual gameplay. So, Jennifer is being stalked in the night by what she probably thinks is the Scissor Man. What's gonna happen is we're gonna encounter some guy, and then the game will finally begin. We're gonna hit actual escape. Which, like I said earlier, we have two modes. There's kind of the lore, figure out who done it kind of thing. And then you have the main levels, which is going to be, you're going to be in some kind of building, and then you need to either escape or find some, like, answer or something like that. Anyway, you already heard this guy die because of the FPS, the fastest speed, and he just falls over and dies. Now, this level is going to be obviously very difficult, and it's going to take a long time. Clearly, I'm not joking, right? Anyway, speed tech time. We're going to go immediately into the store. The reason why is going to be pretty fun. So this room has a special item we're going to need. So what we're going to do is we're going to hide in this box. The Scissor Man apparently doesn't question boxes, so he's just immediately going to dip. And the reason why this room is so ideal is not only do we get a hiding spot, we also get the first of our major items, which is right on the shelf. It is going to be an oil can, which I mentioned earlier that this game is really mean. The reason why is because now I have the oil can, right? So here's the thing. If you don't grab that oil can, you're locked out of the best ending. Okay, so now we've escaped. Also, you're kind of seeing the weird stagger run thing I'm talking about. Please run, please run. Run. Oh, she got it at the end. There we go. So this game has two modes. You have chase mode and search mode. Right now, we're now in search mode. If you're ever in chase mode, you have to escape a chase to get back into search mode. You can't progress the game until then, really. If you talk to the guard right there, his head will fall off and he will die. So instead, we're just going to go to the table right here, and we now have a key. So, this is kind of one of those games where a lot of the length is based more on a knowledge check than an actual, like, level gate, if that makes sense. So what does that mean? Oh, what's this random sentence? So, here's what that means. Also, hold on, let's see... Hey, she's running. Cool. What that means is if you know exactly where to go, the level ends in about 1 minute. So all we had to do was get the key to escape, go to the emergency ladder, and make sure we had the oil can. Anyway, that's level 1 done. I'm not even kidding. We're actually done with the first level. It's kind of funny because the speedrun makes some of the levels really quick. Most of the game is in like the last 30 minutes. Like the first 20 minutes or so is just... All right, do dialogue. Okay, go to the level. Immediately beat the level. And Jennifer's escaped. Helen's route is a bit longer here because you have a little bit more that you have to do. But with Jennifer, you just get the oil can, you leave almost immediately, and then you're out of here. In case you're wondering why there's a difference in the level durations, because you actually have to go to the same level, Helen starts on the 3rd floor while Jennifer starts on the 1st floor. And the key to escape is actually on the 1st floor. So Helen needs to make her way down with more obstacles to grab. Meanwhile, Jennifer can just immediately leave. Anyway, they go to the police. They're like, hey, the Scissor Man's back, which clearly that's bad. Right now, we're going to do some more deductions, more information. But the major choice to be careful on is you can actually kill your whole run here if you're not careful. The main reason why is because if you decide to choose wrong, what will happen is you will go to the clock tower. And if you go to the clock tower, that means that you're not going to be able to get the demon idol, meaning you immediately go to the worst ending. Because you can end the game right on level 2. There's 3 levels in total. I guess first scenario, second scenario, third scenario. In order to get started here, what we're going to do is we're actually going to go to the school. We're going to talk to Helen. Just kind of like a, hey, where do you want to go? And then it prompts you to what option you'll end up choosing. Once we do have the option, we're going to be going over to the old man's house. Which I do wish I could. People talked about the bouncing mode earlier. I would turn it on, but it's a bit much for an hour-long run, roughly. And a lot of people tend to complain about the motion sickness, so we're not going to turn it on. Anyway, while we're waiting for dialogue, the other remote control I wanted to talk about was kind of a weird one. There was a controller you can actually play with like one hand that looked kind of like a TV remote, and it was a really weird designed remote, and I kind of wish I knew where I put it. I know I have it, but I don't remember where I put it because I organized some of my controllers recently, and whenever I do that, I tend to lose it. So I don't know where it went. But in case you're wondering, are any of these faster? I think the mouse is a little bit faster if you're really good using a mouse, but it's just kind of awkward to use. Still neat. I don't know, I like weird technology. It's also weird just having a mouse that has like a PlayStation 1 port. All right, so right now what we're doing is we're going over to the journalist area. We're going to click on Nolan's butt for about a minute. This is where the prompt we need is, and he is literally going to talk for a straight minute here. And yeah, it happens every time. Like, let's see if I can find the PS1 mouse. I'm going to see if I have it really quick. Problem is, it's also dark in my room, and I'm kind of worried about knocking things over, and I don't want to do that. Wait, I think I found it. I did find it. So I'm not going to plug it in, but I actually have it right here. This is the PS1 mouse, and it has like a whole ball on the bottom, and you can just straight up plug it into any PlayStation console, like, well, you know, PS1, PS2 at least, and it is just straight up a mouse. Which, I don't know, it's kind of trippy, right? I'm on my bed for now, because I'm not going to need that for a bit. But I just use controller. I like controller. The good ending. I actually found my PS1 mouse. Anyway, we're choosing yes here. Like I said, the answer is yes. The whole dialogue here, in case you can't read Japanese, Nolan is saying, hey, do you want me to go to the old man's house? And then, yes, we want that. All right, now we're in the second scenario. Nolan. So, here's old man Rick. Funny enough, you're not going to be able to hear the voice a lot because, you know, Fast SP does kind of make it hard to understand. But this guy's voiced by Barry Burden. I guess fun horror lore. I don't know, I'm a big fan of the Clock Tower series, and a lot of this game is mashing dialogue. So, I figured it would be fun to kind of tell you little tidbits about the game while we're waiting to do the main routing. What other games use the PS mouse? I don't actually know. I'm imagining like some of the weird RTSs that existed on the console. There's actually a weird degree of RTS games that were on consoles, and I don't know why. Although weirdly enough, the first one that comes to my head is a game called StarCraft 64, which was a weird version of StarCraft for the Nintendo 64 of all games. Which I don't know why that existed, but I've actually played that. Anyway, we're getting more lore, and then this guy's gonna do the smartest thing ever. You know, that is true. Yeah, sorry, that PlayStation computer rat. PlayStation rat. Also, one of the weirdest things is I feel like I'm showing my age a little bit here, and possibly some of you are too. But, I talked about it, but the mouse isn't a laser mouse. It's a ball mouse, which you probably, you know, I can't remember the last time many people have seen a ball mouse. Like, they're trippy. Voice controller option 3. It's like a remote control thing. I know I don't know where I put that one. Like, that one, you play with, like, one hand, and it's, like, straight up a remote control. Command and Conquer. That sounds right. Alright, so this guy told us his life story about how he used to be a butler at the Clock Tower Mansion, and there's Clock Tower. And look, he's gonna do the smartest thing. He's gonna stand under the chandelier for like 20 minutes.
Nolan, I was given this chandelier as a farewell present when I retired. So it used to hang in the Barlow Mansion? Yes.
Look, the chandelier!
Those were, except for...
You see, he heard himself die and he's still refusing to move. I love this part because he just like stares at it for like the longest time, and then just there it goes. Oh my god, it fell on him. Who could have ever predicted it? If only he heard the chandelier falling before it fell. But he didn't. And you see, this is less of a horror game, and this is more of a home safety kind of deal. Like, I don't know. Don't stand under glass chandeliers. That's the moral of the story, right? Like, it's terrifying. Don't do it. Alrighty, so here's the plan. In the house, we're now being chased by the Scissor Man. This time, we're gonna have to escape in a very particular room once again. We're aiming for this room right here. The reason why is because this room is going to have the Demon Idol. I mentioned earlier, but we're gonna want to, find the Demon Idol. That's the goal of this mission, Scenario 2. And funny enough, the Demon Idol's in this closet. And while we're hiding here the whole time, Nolan isn't going to care about it. He's like, don't know about it. So, Nolan is clearly the smartest man in the world. Here's what he's gonna do. He's gonna leave the closet. He's going to investigate it again, and then he's gonna go like, hey, there's a Demon Idol in here. And then he's gonna investigate it a third time. And then he's finally going to take the Demon Idol. Why he doesn't grab it when he's in there, I will never know. But then also he's like, hey, that's a Demon Idol, and then he doesn't grab it. And then you have to tell him to grab it one more time, which... Why? Alrighty, so now we're in the next part here. Like I said, the house is actually a very short level if you know exactly what to do. It is much smaller than the clock tower. We have three things. First off, you need the map to the old clock tower mansion, which we'll be getting in a moment. But also, behind this door is a killer dog. If you go outside, it will instantly kill you. You will get mauled to death. Getting mauled to death is bad. So what are we going to do? We're going to go right here. We're going to grab some soap. This item will help us out later. Is the anti-gamer item. And we have one more thing, which is going to be grabbing the map of where to go next. We're going to be able to find that right in this room. And honestly, this is going to be a relatable scene. I don't know how many of you ever go downstairs for like a 3 a.m. snack, but every time I do it, I know for a fact there's the spooky mask that haunts my kitchen for me getting Doritos at 3 a.m. And it does this. Just imagine having to fight for your life every time you wanted a snack at 3 a.m. Anyway, the way of winning that is you grab a can, and then it's like a weird QTE where you need to like touch the can and then touch the mask. I don't know why that works the way it does, but that's the answer. Anyway, now we have the map of where we need to go. All we have to do is exit the level, and we're done with Section 2. Like I said, there's going to be a killer dog outside, so what we're going to have to do is we're going to put some dirt in his eye. Or should I say soap? Anyway, with that, we're done with Scenario 2. The dog is momentarily stunned. Otherwise, it would brutally murder Nolan. Funny enough, if you picked Helen, what ends up happening is the old man, instead of getting a chandelier, gets murdered by his own dog. Because, I don't know, the old man is he just dies every time. He just dies. Alright, now we're kind of in the area of the game that's probably the dumbest part. Right now, we found out, hey, there's an old clock tower mansion where the mystery can be solved of what's happening. So, all the characters are going to do the smartest thing in the world, because, you know how I said this game was a whodunit, and you're supposed to find out, oh, who's the Scissor Man, right? So this game's going to do the dumbest thing. You're going to talk to literally every character in the game and invite them to go to England with you. Which, you think if you're having a whodunit, why would you invite every character in the game? Why not just not do that? So the goal of right now is going to be to talk to everyone in the game so the whodunit can actually happen. Which, yeah, I mean, if I were to solve the mystery, I would simply, you know, not invite everyone in the game. I feel like that's a smarter idea. Anyway, the locations we're going to want to go are, we started the news station so we can, you know, reconvene with Nolan. The second location will be the police station, where we're going to be talking to Deputy Gotts and Professor Barton. Here's the guy in the beginning of the game. We're going to be going to the hotel, we'll be going to the school, and then we'll be going back to the news station. Oh, you know, it's Killer Man. Oh, yes, that's who Scissor Man is. It's Killer Man. Well, how do you know it's not you, the viewer? How do we know you didn't do it? I'll think about that. Anyway, let's actually talk for a moment about the category, because we're running Jennifer 100%, ending A. What does that mean? Well, it's much more interesting if you actually have to run a category and, you know, kind of do the best you can. This is the game's best ending. It's going to allow us to, you know, save all the people that we can save, and also go for the best ending possible. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to have to save 7 survivors while also doing everything possible to get the best ending in the game. Pretty straightforward there. The big thing about this routing is it does require careful planning. So the route's mostly straightforward in how we're going to play it. The only real catch is if you mess up the timing of where you're going, you can really mess up. Hopefully we won't. I mean, you know, it's never too big to fall on that, but ideally we should be fine. You know, ideally. Anyway, we have a bit more dialogue mashing. We have the hotel, we're gonna have the school, and then back to the news station. So right now, if there's any more questions, how about we go for it? Who do you think the killer is, everyone? And why do you think it's Twitch chat? Personally, I think it's Twitch chat. What if it's the YouTube comments? What if they went back in time to this VOD and decided, I want to be the Scissor Man? I think I chose the wrong one on accident. It's not the end of the world. I think I go to an empty room. Yeah, it's fine. I think Hideo Kojima did it. Oh, of course. Alright, there's Bethan Harris. The Scissor Man is Scissor Man. Now, what if I told you, everyone? What if I told you that the Scissor Man was actually Rockman? And what if I told you there was a hidden Paper Man, too? Alrighty, here's the last of the conversations. We get to talk to Helen, and then we'll be going over to, I guess, London? I think the end game takes place in London for some reason. Which is weird, because there's 2, like, clock tower mansions, but this clock tower mansion doesn't have a clock tower, so why do they call it that? Let's see some of the answers in chat here. We have Man, the villain of Clock Tower, the Phantom of the Opera, the animals from Super Metroid, Scuba Steve, Jake Paul, Sterno, Ark Thompson, Mega Man, Cutman, Hideo Kojima again. We have some very good answers here. Some very good answers, everyone. I'm very proud of you. You all guessed it from the 7 characters in this game. You know, Hideo Kojima. Anyway, Jennifer got lost, so Helen's in the woods. We're gonna eat Jennifer, though, so we're not gonna worry about that. We're gonna, like, ignore these 2 entirely to, like, later. Now, we do have to be careful, because making wrong decisions, you know, 4 times will lead to character deaths. We're gonna have to make sure we don't do that. That would be very bad. Alright, now, in case you're wondering, who is the Scissor Man? This last scenario, Scissor Man. Alright, this is where most of the game actually takes place. We actually find it, like, immediately, by the way. It's... That's just Jennifer. It's not. It's Harris. Remember this guy? Yeah, it was the guy who let us pick the character.
He said if I kidnapped you, you would be mine. He told me to dress as the sister man and kill people. Jennifer?
Anyway, though, there's a plot twist. He dies immediately because you just hear him die in the cutscene there. I love the cutscenes because you hear the character die immediately and they're just standing there the whole time. Anyway, the plot twist. There's 2 scissor men. Double the scissor man, double the scissors, I guess. Remember I said it was like Scream? It really is like Scream. There are 2 scissor men. Anyway, we have a very low amount of space to work with, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna hide behind this coat rack, and we're gonna use the scissor man's weakness. Not rock, but coats, because apparently the scissor man is weak to coats. Just chuck him onto him. Can you imagine just evaporating because you got hit with like 7 coats? Like, he's like, what's the opposite of a moth? He's that. Anyway, we have to go back in that room because not only was that necessary, there's actually a key within the coats, which is as weird as that sounds. If you don't touch this key, that you can't escape. And it's also like the only way out. Like, I don't think there's anywhere else you can hide. I think the coats are like the only option straight up. Okay, so now we're in the actual speedrun part of the speedrun where like movement text starts to actually matter. Remember I said like it took 30 minutes to get to the run? We're finally there. You may as well just start it on scenario 3. Okay, so first things first, we need to talk to this ladder. We already got one of the keys. This ladder is going to have Latin script in it. Now, Jennifer is not a nerd, so she can't read. That could be in any language. Jennifer can't read. So we're going to have the paper later. We need to find someone literate to translate it for us. Now, I'm going to have a very important question to ask all of you watching at home. And it's going to be moon, sun, or star. We'll find out right now. The answer is actually going to be moon, okay? Moon is the best RNG, and we got the best RNG. You can see it on that plate right there. I'm not going to grab it because we'll remember that. I'm going to ask you later on in this run, was it moon, sun, or star? If you forget, you die. So don't forget. Anyway, we're going to see Gotts lying down on the ground, and that means we've actually saved him. You don't have to talk to him. Just, you know, if you see a man passed out, that means you've done a good job. He's okay. You don't have to talk to him. So we're just going to ignore him, but that's one of the 7 down. You've saved one of the 7 characters. In case you're wondering, what about Harris? What about that guy who died? He's not savable. You don't care about him. He was evil. Okay, so now we're out of the lair, and now we're making our way to the larger part of the mansion. We are going to have a few things to do over here, and we're going to be quite careful. Here we go. Alright, and now we may officially hop on into the game. It's gonna be a big mansion, kind of like the whole Resident Evil vibe. It's like, wow, what a mansion! Except Barry Burton died to a chandelier like 10 minutes ago? He's not gonna be here to say it for us. Alrighty, to start things off, we're gonna have to get a key for later, and that's actually gonna be right over here, in this room. Now, while we're playing this game, I do want to mention that there is going to be a bit of RNG. Also, look, a rat. The RNG is going to be really stupid. If you hear music, that's bad. If there's no music, that's good. If there is music, that means we have messed up and we have to escape the Scissor Man. The Scissor Man is actually RNG, and it's kind of weird because he's based on a variety of factors. One of them is a timer. The other one is he just can kind of spawn sometimes. Ideally, we don't want him to spawn whenever we're going to interact with another character, because if that happens, the character will actually be eating a death. So we're going to be very careful on our route. So, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make our way over to this room first. This is going to get us the second of our characters, and we'll be getting a nice key over here. We are grabbing a lot of keys. Like, if you're wondering what was I doing with that little rat, the rat actually had a key, which was going to be the... I think that's the library key, which is like later in the game, but we'll be having to go to the library later anyway, so it all works out. Also, Clock Tower is one of those games that if you don't know exactly what you're doing, the game won't let you do it, so you have to like look at the floor, and then it's like, hey, there's a secret button back here, and then you can finally push the button. Even though we know the button's back here, you have to do like 3 actions to truly know it's here. Anyway, for a little bit of tech in pointing and clicking, what we're going to do is we're going to click on the ladder. We're going to climb down and immediately climb back up. That's going to scare us. Scaring us is good. Because we're going to get the worst jump scare in the game. It's... Beth.
Beth? Oh, it's you.
I mean, she's just Beth.
Are you hurt?
Anyway, we have now saved 2 of the 7 characters of the game. Like I said, we're going to be going for 7 characters saved. I think both... I actually don't know which ones all count. I think both Helen and Jennifer count, regardless of how you do it. So, like... Either way, with the route we're taking, it'll count. We actually need to talk to Beth twice, though. The reason why is because Beth has a key that brings us to the second half of the mansion. I don't know why Beth has it, but she has it. If Beth dies, the way you'd get it is you would, I think, come back down here when it's empty and you just find the key here. So, I am sorry about that terrifying jump scare, but we do need to talk to Beth. In fact, we have to do it twice. A lot of the characters are actually going to have special items too. So for a while, it was actually predicted that it would be faster to actually save a lot of the game's characters because you need to talk to a lot of them anyway. Like for Beth, we get a key. Character later will give us some matches. Most of the characters in this game actually help you quite a lot, so it's pretty good that we find them. And that's why Jennifer 100% is the main category of the game. Alrighty, so far so good. I'm not hearing that music. So, lore-wise, everyone invited themselves because everyone wanted to go to the UK. Which, I don't know why. I don't quite understand it entirely myself lore-wise, but they all wanted to go to a death mansion. Anyway, there's Professor Barton. Say goodbye to him. We're not going to talk to him. We just have to visualize that he exists. We have now saved him. He's just going to be chilling out here. If we don't look at him, he dies. So we have to make sure to look at him. Anyway, we've done good so far. No music. That's actually very good. And now, funny enough, this room has a boss encounter or like a fight encounter. You don't have to do it. On Helen's route, you do have to do it. But on Jennifer's, you just need this book. And you can leave almost immediately. It's actually a bit of a new player trap where you would talk to the desk, look around, but Jennifer, you just grab the book. All right, and now that we have the key, now comes the next part of the run. So earlier I talked about the idea that if you didn't grab this oil can, you can't get the best ending. The reason why is... Okay, it's like, did the music start? I was like, I'm listening, like, is it music? No music, okay. Yeah, if you don't have the oil can, you can't open this door. And if you can't open this door, you are physically locked out of the best ending because you can't get multiple items, which are the mummified scissor man, who has like a knife or something, or a key. I think he has a key. And then also, we need this crate. This crate is very important. But first, we need rope. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to the crate, but I'm also going to get the rope. Because bats come in. I'm wondering, how did the bats open the door? Like, they're bats. How do they open a door? I know it's supposed to be spooky, but they're still bats. It was really rusty wood. That's why you needed oil for it. Anyway, there's Helen. She was living in this box. Now, you must understand, we need Helen in this box specifically because, one, she's an important character. Two, Helen is one of the only people able to read. No one else can read. The only people capable of reading are Helen and Professor Barton. Now, we could have gone to Barton, but Barton's a nerd. Helen is cooler. So, the actual answer is that Helen has less dialogue, so talking to Helen is faster for the translation of this note. You'll know we have it once the note turns gold.
Helen, I found this piece of paper before. It's Latin. It says, a door opening incantation. A door opening
There we go.
incantation.
This is one of the major endgame requirements. If you don't have this, then
Sounds like a spell.
you can't
Yes,
get the best
might be
ending.
keeping
Like,
it
you'll
consistent.
die straight up. Once it is gold, we are free to go, and we have now saved Helen. I think we should be good. There we go. All right, we now have a gold note, and we can get out of here. Now, what we would want is we actually want music to start right when I start going upstairs. If I have the best RNG, the music should be starting right when we get to the stairs. I mean, maybe a little bit after. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't, but it would be good to start right here. Correct, only 2 of them can read. Alright, I didn't get the God RNG, but that's okay. We do get to see one of the coolest things in this game. We're gonna talk to this door. I don't know, I didn't really like that jump scare. It's cool. Anyway, we spawned the Scissor Man so we can outrun the Scissor Man. And there we go. It's gone immediately. We've done it. Okay, now here's Nolan. Remember Nolan? He was the guy who went to the old man's house. He's just been chilling in the skeleton room. You know, every good mansion has a skeleton room.
I don't know.
Just a room of skeletons.
Ow.
What happened to your leg?
It's just a scratch. I'll be okay for a bit longer.
Skeleton, the skeleton room. You know how it goes. I think every mansion would benefit from a skeleton room. Like, I wish I had a skeleton
I'm
room.
going, Nolan.
I mean, that would be fitting. You know, I run speedruns in the crypt, and I can have an actual crypt. I can have a skeleton room. And I don't have any skeletons. I mean, I guess I have one skeleton. I have my own skeleton, but you can't see that skeleton. And then I can remove that from my body. That would be... I would die. Also, there are ghosts that just spawn in this room that sing really fast. And for some reason, fastest speed breaks the game, or you're going to straight up hear the end of the game.
Shoot.
Like, they're watching the end of the game happen right now, but like it doesn't count for anything. So apparently, Nolan's just been watching these ghost children every 5 minutes for some reason.
They must be the ghosts of children who were killed here.
So many.
I mean, the skeleton room, right? That's just how it goes. Alright, so now we're done with Nolan. We've talked to him. He told us about the skeletons. And now we can leave. That's all we had to do. Okay, so earlier in the game, I grabbed that key. This is why. This door can now be unlocked. We're going to be going to the library. It's the whole thing. Where do you work out? Or where do you speedrun? The library. Alright, we're going to have a few things to do in here. First things first. More important than the library. We're gonna need it's like right up here. There's an item, and it's really mean because you can almost not barely see it. But there's an item right up there. And if you want to grab it, you have to like notice it, which it is so annoying to try to see that. Anyway, we got like a map. It's like genealogy, which good. Next, what we're going to be doing is we'll be clicking on the little scuff marks on the ground. We can use the book. Now, you must understand, clearly Jennifer was never going to read this book, so it's actually a key. Now, I'm going to ask you all a very important question. Was it moon, star, or sun? Do you remember the answer? If you said moon, I'm proud of you. You will survive. If you said star or sun, I think Jennifer gets eaten by rats. So, if you said the other two, watch out for rats tonight. Funny enough, Helen has the same puzzle, but it's a little bit different. Actually, I think it's either water or rats. I don't remember what Jennifer's is. I haven't died at this in a while. Alright, most of you said moon. I'm proud of you. Some of you did not say moon. The rats are coming. Oh, so look, there's a mummy Scissorman. There's like 12 Scissormen in this game. 2 of them are dead. I mean, technically 3 of them are dead now. One of them already died, but like 2 of them are already dead. They didn't get killed. They're already dead. But now we have the dagger. That is another one of the endgame items that we're going to need. It is very important. And now we have one more major puzzle left to go. Which is going to be a weird one. You need to get a candle working, but having the knowledge of the candle doesn't matter because you don't have all the tools yet. So what we're going to be doing is we are going to be getting matches. The easiest way to get matches is actually going to be in this room right here. Weirdly enough, I mentioned earlier that having the survivors gives you items. We haven't saved one of the people yet, which, you remember the cameraman? Yeah, he's right here. He's just chilling. Remember Tim? Here's Tim.
Hey there.
Tim.
We have now saved Tim.
This is some rotten place, huh?
Tim's actually very important because he gives you matches. So we need to talk to him
Take
twice.
this match with you.
A match?
You'll probably need some light.
Thank
I think he just gives us one match, by the way. Like, a single match. I think it's just be a match book, but he just said match. Also, one of the weirdest parts about this game, I have no idea why, but also, just like, pathwise, or me going downstairs finding, like, a painting that was given as a hint. But something that's really interesting, and this is one of the only games that I know that has done this. If you know another game, feel free to tell me. But this game, okay, so games that are made in Japan and then ported to North America, very often, this has Japanese text, but it has English voice acting, right? So the North American version, not only does it have English text, but it also has a different English voice acting. I don't mean that it has English voice acting. I mean, it straight up just has a different dub. Like, this game has English voice acting because a lot of games back in the 90s that, even if they're Japanese, still had English voice acting. But for some reason, the Japanese version and the North American version have different English dubs, and I have no idea why. Which, it's one of the weirdest decisions I've ever seen in a game. Kind of cool, but weird, right? Anyway, we are almost done with the whole game. We have a little bit left to go. First things first, we need to look inside of here, because Jennifer needs to realize she needs light. Funny enough, I think if you look inside there too much, you get, like, dragged up the fireplace like a reverse Santa. So, don't do that. Anyway, we're going to be creating the candle, and now we're going to be able to look up here nice and easy. No, they're the same accent, same exact voice actors entirely. Like, not even different. They're all just literally just different takes. Like, they just enunciate differently. That's it. It's not like a different accent. They're the same exact voice actors entirely. They just took different takes. And I don't know why they did that. Alrighty, with that being said, we have everything we need for the end game now. We have the Aladdin, we have the knife, we have the demon idol. We're approaching the end of the game right now. The big lesson and the reason why we came over here is because, hey, the whole time there was a secret lever. But, like, I'm kind of wondering how she doesn't just find this without this, but, I mean, I'm not going to judge, right? It just happens. Alrighty, if I did everything right, we should be getting ending A. The voices sound like that because I turned on something called fast disk speed. A lot of console games allow the usage of this. It makes loading much faster, and it makes a lot of the game just kind of run faster. However, the catch is it kind of messes with some of the voices because not all games know how to run this. It's very noticeable if you've ever watched a Silent Hill 1 speedrun. Alrighty, if I did everything right, we'll be hitting the end of the game right now. And we'll be getting the big plot twist.
You're really good kid. Stop doing this and let's go back to the orphanage.
Which, if it's not apparent, I guess process of elimination, you could probably take a while to guess who the Scissor Man is. That's right. It was Hideo Kojima the whole time. That's right. You got it. It was Jennifer. It was the Scissor Man. That's who the Scissor Man was. You figured it out. Anyway, the actual answer was the Scissor Man was Edward. If you remember the little, the little boy with the tiny shorts, he's the Scissor Man. He is the orphan meat mech from the last Clock Tower SNES, if you ever played that. If you watch that GDQ run, this is the orphan meat baby. He's turned into a regular child. He was always a regular child. Again, he was piloting a mech. So now he's the Scissor Man. Alrighty, so time will be coming up in a moment here. The run ends once we kill the Scissor Man. We have two things to do here. First off, we need to put the demon idol right here. This is like a final QTE, so if you don't know what you're doing, that goes bad. If you don't have the Aladdin, you'll die here. Luckily for us, we have the Aladdin, so she's going to read it automatically. And the big thing is, if you mess up this final QTE, you can actually lose the whole game. Where you will straight up get Jennifer killed, which is bad. Alright, time will be coming up momentarily, and time. Oh, she jams a dagger into her foot. That's the metal. And not a bad run, probably could have been a little bit better if I didn't, like, I think I messed up a couple spots, but not bad. We can watch the ending here. I'll tell you right now, we did save everyone. We're all good there. Yeah, we took care of the Scissor Man. I don't know how many of you have scissors in the GDQ chat here, but hopefully you do. At least one of you does.
I wonder how many days we've been trapped down.
We can have our ending, and then we'll see, but we can. I just tell you the 7 we saved. We saved Jennifer, Nolan, Helen, Gotts, Beth, Tim.
I guess our number's up, Jennifer.
And Barden.
Like that, no.
We saved 7. That is 7.
We'll save us. I know she.
Harris died, Kay died, and Edward died.
You know that.
So we're all good. We did it.
Tough.
And we got our ending. That has been Jennifer 100%. I do hope you all enjoy that. You can watch a little bit here, but before we do, you know, while the ending is going, I do just want to say I have been your runner, Ichdices. Sometimes I do these. Originally, I was not planning on doing a run today, but I did need to fill in a game for the, you know, for the crypt here, because the original plan ran into some complications. Anyway, I do hope they enjoyed this run of Clock Tower. It's always nice to kind of see the Scissor Man and some scissor action. So I do want to say thank you for watching that, and if you enjoyed my run, I do a lot of horror games in general. I do like 180 games. I like doing a lot of speedruns and other stuff, so check me out on Twitch, YouTube, and all that jazz. I also talk a lot about how I run Speedruns From the Crypt, so if you like that, there you go. Anyway, right now, I get to do my hosting duties here. I get to do the hosting part. For one, if you've noticed in the Twitch chat, we now have the next poll up. I'll leave this going for a little bit. We'll be having a break in a moment anyway, so this poll will be running for the break. You get to decide the final run of the night, whether Alone in the Dark will be Carnby or Emily. There are 2 routes, and you get to pick the character for that. If you want to pick, make sure you vote in the poll above. As well, before we do be right back, I do just want to say that GDQ Hotfix is proud to present its first Asian American and Pacific Islander American Heritage Month celebration. Join us on May 18th and 19th for 2 full days of showcases, speedruns, and celebrating AAPI heritage. Submissions are open until April 21st, and the schedule will come out on April 29th. You can use !AAPI in chat to get more information and how to submit a run to this event. Anyway, we'll be right back with Alone in the Dark. Feel free to vote in chat, and yeah, see you in a moment here. All right, everyone, welcome back from the break. Hope you've been enjoying this episode of Speedruns From the Crypt. We do have one more run for you tonight, and we still have a little bit more time left on the vote between Emily and Carnby for Alone in the Dark 2024. Before we do get into that, though, I just want to say, well, one, thank you for being a part of this. This is a very experimental show that I wanted to try out, and, you know, I thought it would be kind of fun to, you know, have a bunch of games that had these joining protagonists. By the way, the vote tied. We'll get more into that and what that means in a moment, but even still, it's kind of a fun concept that I don't think we've really done a lot on GDQ, so I just want to say thank you for being a part of that in general. Anyway, like I said, we do have one more run for you tonight. If you do not know, recently there was a brand new entry in the Alone in the Dark franchise. It is a remake of the original game, and it has had a very blossoming speedrunning community in the past month or so. Anyway, we're going to be taking a look at the full game category. We'll learn more about it, but I know it has the final boss fight and everything. It is going to be Alone in the Dark, and categories in the up to the runner, Captain Ezekiel. But I guess, Alone in the Dark with Captain Ezekiel. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Ek. Hi, everyone. I'm Captain Ezekiel, as Ek said. We are here with Alone in the Dark. Like I said, brand new game just came out. It's a faithful recreation, or a remake, if you will, of the original. We are gonna be doing Emily. Emily is faster, and I've been playing a lot of Emily lately, so we'll be starting that up here. Just gonna say a couple things real quick. There's gonna be a couple things you're gonna notice: some pausing, some RTA manipulation stuff. This game is very broken, super broken, and got incredibly broken over the last week or so, I would say, and we have a lot of runners to credit for that. So as we get to skips, I'll make sure to mention who found them. And yeah, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do easy new game modern. Modern just basically changes the puzzle stuff, and the timer will start when I select a character or after I skip the first cutscene. So we have this very low poly frog because all my graphics are on low. So we're going to be playing as Emily Hartwood instead of Edward Carnby. So I will go ahead and count you in. So timer starts in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. So you're going to notice the very first thing is we are going to be spam dodging. The second we played this casually, or anyone who's played this casually, you already know that we saw that the dashing was just faster. So we can dash, and it's just a little bit faster than running, which means your thumb gets a great exercise as you mash spacebar. Alone in the Dark, if you don't know much about this game, or if you didn't see Juha run it recently, the old one, the 2008 version, I believe, is it's essentially a very Resident Evil-like horror game, even though it inspired the genre and inspired Resident Evil, where we go around, we collect puzzle pieces, and what we're here for is we're looking for Jeremy, and Jeremy is Emily's uncle. So that's who we're looking for here. So we're kind of in this house, and we're going through it. It's very similar to like the Resident Evil 1 mansion in terms of how the game like flows. So we're gonna be a lot of like going back and forth to certain places. And this game is divided up into 5 chapters, and it has multiple different endings. And the ending that we're doing today is the Black Goat ending, which means we fight a final boss. So right now we're just going around and grabbing a couple key items that we need, like just a couple keys basically. And a lot of this run, it started off as like an hour-long run, and now it's LRT, or load removal time, which is the method we use. It is down to 25 minutes. I actually just broke record a couple hours before coming here to show you guys the game. So we are now going into one of the dream sequences in a second here, which basically the way the game works is we go to different chapters, different parts of Jeremy's mind, basically, where we're just going into different places that he kind of traps us in. So right now we're going to the French Quarter. So that's where we are now. This first chapter is actually entirely glitchless. There's like nothing to really do. These are the enemies that we're dealing with here. I'm going to shoot this guy so he stops moving, so he doesn't body block me, because he likes to get exactly in the way of where we need to go. So we take care of him. We are playing on easy. There isn't actually very much difference between hard and easy. The only difference really is that there's more damage that you take, and you get way less ammo. So we're gonna trigger this cutscene here and skip out of this. Sometimes this door is just open for Emily, and we don't really know why. There's a small thing that you'll notice, or if you haven't played the game or you haven't ran it, sometimes we're a lot faster than we normally are. Like we have what's called outdoor running speed, which basically means that like we're moving a lot faster. So right now we're actually moving pretty slow because we're in combat. But when you're not in combat, you start to move really quick. We're gonna grab this hatchet. Melee weapons in this game, they're kind of strong, but we use them mostly for movement-based things. So yeah, what we're doing here is we're just essentially just holding W to the end of the very first chapter. Let that guy break through that door. The collision physics in this game are very wonky. Run that guy, grab that ammo. You can bounce off anything. Like you will ping pong everywhere if you dash into a wall. It's awful. So what we're grabbing here is the talisman. The game is centered around doing talisman puzzles to unlock certain areas of the game and how to progress. But we know the solutions already. This one's going to be just 2 to the left here. It's going to be 3, 5, 8. Oh, and move this one to 8. These solutions are set. Carnby and Emily have the same solutions for almost every puzzle, but casually, Carnby and Emily are very similar. The difference is that they have different like personal chapter sessions, which we don't go there anymore. Actually, in this video, we're gonna skip a lot of stuff. Speaking of skipping, we're about to do our very first one, and it gets a little crazy. So we're gonna go in here. What the game wants us to do is we have to go through a whole bunch of areas, like a swamp, a graveyard, and a bunch of things to like progress through the game. So what we're gonna do is a little deload trick. Hopefully, I can do it first try. We're gonna dash into this wall and pause. Now I'm going to remain paused, and I have to remain paused. This is where the not friendly RTA stuff comes in. What's happening here is we discovered that, it was a lot of work by a lot of runners. Originally when we were first playing, we discovered that if you look up at the sky in certain areas, go into certain areas, the game will just deload itself. But it's not really good because you get stuck and there's invisible walls. Thanks to a lot of work from other runners, a lot of people found a lot of different things. Like Looney, Living Looney Bin came in and he helped us find a lot of things. So if we pause here and we look up to the sky, we're letting the level deload itself. We're letting it basically remove its invisible walls, remove its barriers. Because for some reason, if you remain paused, the game will eventually drop its frames a few times. And after enough frame drops, the wall will disappear. But it does take a while. Like it takes about a minute to a minute and a half. And we haven't really figured out the sweet spot for it. And the reason we do it like this is because our timing method is timed. It doesn't count this time here, like this time in the pause menu, because it would be unfair for certain runners who get it really fast and some runners who don't. So we don't really know what causes it. So as our community, we decided, pause the timer, allow this to deload, and then resume. So in about 20 seconds, I will unpause and we'll continue going. It's a very strange mechanic, but it is incredibly important that we don't, mess it up, because I don't want to unpause too early because we have to do it again. We don't want to sit here paused forever. So I think now it's been long enough. I'm going to right click out, and now we're out of bounds. I have a lineup here, so this is another very fun part of this game. We're going to hold W for a little bit here. We are running, and what we're doing here is we are skipping a lot of what the game intends for us to do. Like we are supposed to go in chronological order. Is we're supposed to go do a clock puzzle. We're supposed to get boilerplate pieces, and we're supposed to go do the swamp. And originally we had to skip for the swamp, but now we don't even go there anymore. So we would go to the swamp. We'd do all the puzzles there, and then we'd go to the boiler room. We'd put all the puzzles in there, and then we'd eventually go to the cemetery. A very long, drawn-out process. But what we're doing here is we're actually just skipping all of it and going straight to the cemetery. Now, it's a little tricky. Out of bounds in this game is incredibly finicky. I have to be incredibly careful about where I go and how I do it, because you can soft lock very, very easily. So what I'm doing is I'm going in a very specific line that's going to load me in around the cemetery, and I need to lower my height intentionally to land and then clip back inbounds. So it's a very, very long and not really tedious process, but it takes a lot of practice to understand where you're going and how to do it. This specific skip, I believe, was found by Living Looney Bin was the one who found the route for it. This part where I clipped out in that room, I found clipping out in that room. But this route to the cemetery, everything was found by him and a lot of other runners who kind of came together and tried to figure out how we can skip as much stuff as we can, because one of the caveats of this game is you can't skip between chapters. You can only skip inside of a chapter. So now the level's loaded in. So this is the cemetery. And if I do everything right, hopefully, what we'll do is we'll run into this tree. Hopefully it lowers our height a little bit. It's not really super important if it doesn't. Okay, no, that's fine. I think maybe I lost an inch of height there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna run over into these trees, and I'm gonna melee swing a couple times. I just need to make sure I hit the ground. If I get stuck in the air, that's bad news bears. So we're gonna kind of run over here. My height's dropping, so that's good. I should drop right here. Nice, perfect. So now we're landed. Now we just have to get back and bounce. And there's a specific path we have to take, and it's going to be right here. There's one little path right here next to this chest that's gonna allow us in, and the level's gonna load right behind us, just in the nick of time, just like that. And now we're in bounce, and we're completely past a lot of the barriers that the game wanted us to go through. We're gonna grab this key item. There's gonna be a homie that shows up behind us somewhere.
What's that for?
Do this puzzle.
Something missing.
I didn't miss. I lagged. Trust me. We had to shoot him to stop him from moving. So now we're just gonna run through the cemetery and do it normally, which involves basically running through some enemies, running past some enemies, grabbing some key items. We're gonna do what's called basically just melee movement or melee stepping, whatever you want to say. Basically, we use this animation of the melee weapon to move us through this water. Otherwise, we move very slowly, and we're gonna hit that guy, so he leaves us alone. Oh, but he hit us back, so that's fair. Now we're gonna go around here and just basically progress the cemetery.
Well, I gotta ask, how in the world was that line found?
A lot of trial and error. So it was a matter of like, I don't know. I think what happened is like the people who found the out of bounds, like Looney, I think he unironically sat there and held W in a direction until he found something we could go to. And so he sat there for hours. Nico Hart, a lot of the people who like helped route and find stuff in this game, you basically had to like pick a direction and run. And it's like, oh look, we found out that certain things are just loaded. You can actually skip to the very last room of the game because it is loaded in, but you are soft locked by triggers, and you can't like go from a chapter 1 to a chapter 5 because chapter 5 objectives need to be done, in chapter 5. So we spent a lot of time just running around out of bounds. It's been a lot of just like running into the void, and like we found a lot of cool things. We found like the dev area and stuff like that where you can load into certain places, and there's a lot of really cool things that we found out of bounds.
It's kind of funny, Zeke. I guess not just you, but for all of Twitch chat here. Well, first off, the one Juo ran I think last week, 2 weeks ago. That was 2008. So that's the Battle Alone in the Dark sequel. It's weird, but it's not the first game. The first game came out in 1992, right? So both this version and the 1992 version are absolutely buggy as hell. I don't know if you've ever seen a speedrun of the original game, but like you straight up like have some of the most wild out of bounds tech where like you are just running and fixed camera angles and like, how like there's pre-rendered backgrounds? Like just imagine Emily running through the pre-rendered background. Like, how like you have that, it's like, oh, like, she's running through a hallway. No, she's running through the background. Like she just existing and running through the map itself. I don't know, like it's wild to watch. Like I recommend if you wanted to see it for fun, it's like a short run. It's like less than 10 minutes. I think Plastic Rainbow did it a few GDQs back. I think it was like GDQ 2021 or something like that. It's really dope. I mean, it's kind of fun that this run's also kind of busted as hell too. It's both the original and this one are just a mess in a fun way.
Yeah, it's super buggy, and we kind of knew it was going to be buggy based on our casual playthroughs. And it's funny because you like on your casual playthrough, we'd get stuck on random objects all the time. Enemies would send you launch like randomly to different places all the time. And so it was kind of a no-brainer to be broken, but it got really broken really fast. So now we're still in chapter 2. The game wanted us to do a lot of things, but because we skipped to the cemetery, we actually don't have a key item that would allow us to do the next puzzle, which is the pallet knife. We don't have it to unblock the doors. Darn, the door's it's better than me. We don't have the pallet knife to get us to go where we need to go. So you would be soft blocked here if we didn't find a way to go through walls. So we have another one here. This one was found very recently and makes everyone's life a lot easier. So this is going to be another one where I'm going to have to pause. This right now in chapter 2 is going to be a lot of clipping. So it's going to be a lot of pausing because we have to go to a place where we can't really go to. So I'm going to go to this corner. I'm going to dash into this wall and pause. The level around me is going to deload. What's on the other side of me right now is the dining room. That's where we go into chapter 3, but we can't really just go to chapter 3 yet. We still have to do a telescope puzzle. So we have to do a clip here, a clip to the telescope, and then a clip back. So we have to do a lot of clipping. So we're going to stay paused again for another like 30 seconds to 40 seconds here so that we can make sure that the level deloads. Because if we do this wrong, one of two things happen. I can get stuck in the wall, which can still happen even if I wait long enough. And two, the level will load around me and I just get sent back, right? And we have to do it again. These clips are very finicky and they took us a considerable amount of time to figure out. They're a little lame because we have to pause, but otherwise it's very cool, right? We get to skip a lot of stuff and it's really, really fun and super busted. This clip right here, was I believe found by Nico Hart, where he found out that you could clip through this wall, and he said it was very easy, and it made life super easy because we had to do a different one before that was really bad and like really inconsistent. So he helped find this one, and then a couple of the runners also helped find clipping into the telescope room, which I believe was also Living Looney Bin. He did a lot of work on that. So we'd give this about 10 to 15 more seconds. You know, I hope everyone's having a great day, but unfortunately we have to just wait. Not much I can really do about it unless you guys want to see me soft lock, which can be funny, but not in this context. So should be able to unpause now. And now we're in the dining room. I just need to be careful I don't accidentally dash too far. And now we're going to unlock this door we're not supposed to be able to even be in right now. And then we're going to hit another reload here, which is going to put us near the telescope room. And we're going to have to do another clip. Now, these next two clips are the trickiest ones for me because we have to clip into a room that's right on the other side of that wall. And it's a really short range dash we have to do. And I'm going to pause again. What's on the other side of this room is a telescope puzzle. We normally have to go all the way around the house, get into the telescope room with the telescope piece that we just got, do the star puzzle, and then go back to the dining room for chapter 3. But because the door that is what connects all that is still currently blocked because we never did that part of the game, we have to clip. We have to cheat. You know, speedrunners, that's like what we do. We just cheat all the damn time, right? That's what we do. Devs hate us. But yeah, this game has been very fun to like route and run. You know, we have other chapters with other skips that aren't as broken, but are still very impactful that you'll see. So these two pausing ones here are the last of the pausing skips until the end of the game. So, you know, hopefully these still keep going as well as they have been. Thankfully, we haven't soft locked and we haven't broken. But it is a fun run. You know, if you're interested, we do have a Discord that's attached to the SRC. You know, Nico Hart and Sam and Olion, who are the mods for everything, have been doing a very good job with creating boards and, you know, setting rules. And it's been a very good time. And you know, thankful to like him, them, and Salad for like making our you know, splitters and stuff like our timer. We're just gonna give this a couple more seconds. I want to make sure this is one of the trickiest ones because we don't have very much room. We don't want to get stuck. So I'm gonna unpause and I'm gonna check to see. Okay, good, perfect, made it in. That one's very scary. We're gonna do this puzzle here, which is all these puzzles are set like I said before. They're very straightforward. Learning the run before we had the glitches, we had to memorize so many puzzles. Like it's actually insane the amount of puzzles we had to actually memorize. Because the game just like has a crazy amount, and they're all very move this piece and like very hard. Like the boilerplate puzzle, my god, everybody hated it. But now we skip it.
Wait, what's going on?
now we skip it and life is good. No one has to care about it.
Okay.
All right, so now we've unlocked chapter 3, but we have to get there. But that door is locked. It's kind of blocked from the other side. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go out the way we came in. We're gonna do a similar clip now. This is probably the trickier one. We're gonna dash into this wall, do another pause, and we're gonna wait again. And if I do this correctly, if we load correctly, we should be back into the what's called the orderlies room, which is where we just came from. And then after we do that, we can go straight to chapter 3. But we have to wait a minute. Ek, have you played this game casually yet?
I have. I actually have. I gave it a little bit of a waiting to kind of get into the speed run, but it's been on the backlog. I like the game casually. I've played all the Alone in the Darks, and it is certainly a franchise.
It really is. You know, I thought this game was like relatively charming. I didn't think anything bad of it. It could have used some polishing for sure, as you guys can very well see. There's certainly
I'll
some
tell
things.
You right now, if you think this game needs polishing, I don't know if you plan on trying the rest of the games in the franchise, but just keep that sentence in mind.
I will. I mean, the only reason I say that about this game is because this was a $60 title. So that's where I'm like, you could maybe use a little bit more QA. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpause. If I did this right, I'm back in the orderlies room, which I am. I'm so happy all of those worked first try because those are such a nightmare to deal with. And now we're back in the dining room, and we came from the way we're not supposed to, and now we get to go right into chapter 3. And chapter 3 is a chapter we do mostly organically. There's 2 skips we do, but one of them is pretty big, and one of them is kind of smaller. But we do this area here, which is the library, organically. Everything here we do is the way the game wants us to do it for the most part. This area is one of the only real places you should be afraid of dying, because we have to take some lines that are basically going to put us next to an enemy who has a very brutal mechanic. He's called the Dark Man, and the Dark Man walks around, he has like this aura around him, and if you get too close to him, he starts to drain your maximum health. And if obviously if your health hits 0, you die. That is, shocker. But we have to go fast. So we're going to take lines around him and do certain things that allow us to get past him fast. You'll hear me mention a couple things she's found. Another runner named Catlink found an alternative method to getting around him that prevents us from really dying. It's not 100% safe because there's like a small chance that like something could go wrong and like, you know, you run into him. So this is the Dark Man.
By the way, Zeke, I have a question about the Dark Man for you. Do you know anything about the Willy Wonka experience?
A little bit.
The Dark Man looks exactly like the Unknown from that, which is, look everyone, it's the Unknown, which, oh god, I don't know why they added the Dark Man to this game. It's just one of the weirdest decisions. It's literally just the Unknown from Willy Wonka.
Yeah, I don't really understand it. That little ladder clip you just saw was what I was talking about. That's something that Catlink found, where if you clip into the ladder and then you interact with it, it just teleports you to the bottom, which lets us reload a checkpoint and it lets us avoid the Dark Man. So we were able to avoid him, but we have to do a specific line here. This line allows us to run around him, but if I mess up this line, I will die, which is not poggers, guys. We do not want to die. So we're going to go around this guy, and the Dark Man spawns in this room. It's a very small room. You normally would have to wait for him to leave. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run in here and hold left, interact with this puzzle piece here. We can't take damage in this cutscene, and I'm going to quickly interact with the ladder so we don't die, and we're out of here. He just hangs out down there. He's not the Dark Man. He's actually the Orange Man. This section was really the place where we would die, because we were looking at routes and looking at paths to do. So we would sometimes go in a different route that was very inconsistent through here, and a lot of us would just die here. So it was very thankful that, you know, Cat found that alternative way, because oh my god, having so many runs die here was just miserable. And that was back when this run was like, you know, an hour long. So it was brutal. So that's the end of the library, but now we're going to New Orleans. This is where we have another massive skip. Unlike the others, this one was also found and routed by Catlink. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna aggro this guy. If you'd be like, hey, who just shot that? We kind of need AI help over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring him up here, and we need him to push us up here. This is a very flashy trick, and I really like it a lot. We're gonna wait here, and we want him to swing, and then we're gonna dash, and then we're gonna go into this corner. We went to 30 FPS so that he'd push us up. We go back to unlimited. We're gonna clip on top of this. Come on, there we go. Get in this corner, and we're gonna turn around. It's gonna deload the level, and we're gonna move away from the wall a little bit, and then we're gonna dash again. And now what we're doing here is clipping back in, and now we've skipped going around the entire level and have skipped directly into the warehouse. This essentially skips the entirety of New Orleans. Like, there's another area you have to like move a crane, you have to go into the sewers, you have to go get a key, you have to do a lot of stuff. But thanks to that skip, thanks to a cat bound, we were able to just skip all that, because my goodness, it's so much faster, it's so much better. And we get the Tommy gun.
I mean, I'm not complaining.
There is a shotgun in this game. If you used it casually, I apologize, because that is probably one of the worst guns I've ever experienced in a survival horror game in my life. And I've played every Resident Evil game, so that's saying a lot. Alright, so now what we're going to do is we're going to head out the front door here. A bunch of enemies are going to come through, but because we're on easy, we're not really at risk of dying, so we're just going to dash right through these fellas. On hard, you die there quite a bit. And more spacebar matching. That is like the definition of this game is just spacebar matching. And now we're coming up to an area where runs just go to die in recent days. I know other runners sympathize with me with the temple. The temple is a nightmare. The reason why it's so bad is because even on easy, there's an enemy type that is just so... It's just such... certain words I want to use, but I won't. They're so bad. We're gonna do this puzzle. It's gonna be 258. We are going into the temple, and there are bats. And there's a skip we have to do at the end of the temple, but these bats are just like the worst enemies ever. Basically, what's gonna happen is we have to go through this whole temple, and there's like 1,000 bats flying around. And the bats, some of you guys might not know this, but there are actually QTEs in this game. Bats can grab you, and you have to mash spacebar to throw them off of you, which not only slows you down, but then the game forces you to stop after you do it. Like, you can't move. The worst part about it is bats can camp you when you come out of like an animation, which we have to do a lot of laser animations, and more than one bat can latch you at a time. So you'll mash spacebar to get one off you, but then another one is on you. So you can just lose so much time here. So hopefully, you know, we don't have too many issues because bats are very annoying. But then we're going to do another skip. This one doesn't save as much time, but this was our very first skip that we found in this game. The very first one that we found that actually broke sequence in a little way, in a little bit. It was very, we were all very happy because we actually were like, we didn't find anything for like a week. It was rough. We were like trying to find stuff to break the game and we were struggling. But thankfully we were able to find this, and then it kind of opened it up for everything. Like it just opened up a lot of stuff. So we're gonna put this rope on and we're gonna go down here. We're gonna be Indiana Jones. And now we're in the temple. So we're gonna hit this lever. Basically we have to go all the way up and around and power all these lasers and shoot them at the statue to get us to the end of the chapter. So these are the bats. They're very annoying. We're gonna just go under here. Yep, he just tried to grab me and he got stuck in the wall, so El Bozo. Yeah, he's stuck over there, I think. We're gonna go over here and grab this and put the... Basically the whole premise of this is just put the glass on the lasers, shine the lasers, and move on. So thankfully those bats actually kind of AFK'd, so that's a good sign. But we are going to do a skip at the end of this. So basically this whole section is just run around, go to a few different parts, grab those glass magnifying glasses like you just saw me put on that one, and use them here. These bats, though, we want them to leave us alone. So this is one of the lasers, so what we have to do is we have to go open up a door over here. And we hope that the bats fly into the laser because it kills them instantly. So we open up that door, now we're going to line this one back up to where it needs to go. And there's a cool little glitch here, I guess glitch, found by Zarian, where if we go here and we swing a melee weapon, it breaks the thing on the other side of the door and just lets us skip going around the way we're meant to. Kind of weird, that's like the only door that works on, but it is pretty cool. We get to come down here early, we're going to bust open this door and do this next part of the puzzle. And the bats like to follow us in here, so we're just hoping they leave us alone. Emily and Carnby are very similar in a lot of ways, but Emily is faster, like I said before. She has a different pistol than Carnby does. Carnby has a revolver, which only holds 6 bullets and reloads very slowly, whereas Emily has this like 9mm that fires a lot faster, does the same damage, and reloads insanely quickly because it reloads a whole clip instead of like each individual bullet. It was figured out pretty early that Emily was just faster than Carnby, and that was even back before we had the skips, like back when we were just doing their what is called their personal sections of the game. Like they have their own little flashback sections. Emily's was still just faster, so she's been faster since like day one. Bust open this door, and we're gonna grab this lever here. It's the last piece we need. Please don't do it. Oh, he ran into the laser. We love when that happens. When the bats fly into the lasers, it's so awesome. There is a funny, not really funny, it's actually devastating soft lock that can happen, where the bats can fly into the lasers and essentially, like, you know, get themselves killed. And then what happens is their bodies can land on a place where we need to shine, like that circle at the bottom we need to shine a big laser at. If their body lands on it, it soft locks the game because your laser won't go through it. It's really silly. Use this laser here, hit that door because we have to, and line it up, and I can just leave that one. It's gonna form the big laser. And now we're coming at the end, where at the end of the temple, basically what happens is we're gonna take that big laser and we're gonna shine it at the ground. The whole place is gonna start coming down, and what we're supposed to do is go all the way around. A lot of these doors will close, and we'll make our way to the bottom. It takes a lot of time because all the shortcuts close, and it's not really fun. We're gonna do a funny skip that's actually very random, but it's an interesting one. It was, you know, put together. It was found by a runner accidentally, and then you know, me, Zarian, and 7RD worked together, like how to find lineups and find practical methods of doing it. So it's a fun skip where we're essentially going to hope that the bats just go away, but we're probably gonna have to shoot a few of them because otherwise they'll ruin the skip. So we're gonna actually clip up here because it has no collision. We're gonna kill that guy, and the bats are being bats. Okay, we're gonna go over here. We're gonna use this pendant to push us. We want it to displace us so much that it breaks our collision. sends us either down or away. And we got away, so what we're gonna do now is now we're floating because the game doesn't know where we are because the pendant pushed us. And we're gonna lower our height, and now we skip straight to the bottom instead of having to run all the way around the way that it wants us to, and it saves a good chunk of time. So that's the end of chapter 3. And now we're approaching the end of the game relatively soon. So chapter 4 has a lot of stuff you would have to do. Like, you'd have to do a lot of personal section stuff, a lot of puzzles still. There'd still be a lot of, like, chapter 4 used to be the longest chapter. It's like 16 minutes, 20 minutes. It was so long. But we're not going to do that. We're not doing any of that. What we're going to do is go into this room. And this is the last time we have to do one of these pause gimmicks here. So we're going to go up here, dash into this, and pause. Now, again, the level's deloading around us. But what this is doing is it's letting us cut through, and we're going to line up and run straight to a section we're not supposed to get to for a long time, which is the snow area, which is like right before the end of the game, where we have to fight a boss called Jacob. And we have to fight 2 phases of him, and then we go to the last chapter for the final boss. But we have to find a way there. So basically what was found is that we could airwalk. I guess I'll call it airwalk if you're akin to like the Tomb Raider speedruns. They do that a lot in the new generation games. We're gonna basically airwalk all the way there. We're just gonna skip past all of it and go straight to there, because otherwise you'd have to do a bunch of other triggers. But for some reason, the snow area doesn't have those same triggers. There's no like, do this thing first. It's just if you can get to the snow area in chapter 4, you can finish the chapter. So what we're doing now is, like I said before, we're just letting the area deload. We're just letting everything deload so that the game lets us go out of bounds, so we don't accidentally lock ourselves out. So this should probably take about 20 more seconds or so. But yeah, if you guys have played this casually, and this is your first time ever seeing a speedrun like this, it's probably pretty jarring to see how fast we've gone through the game and how much of the game we've simply just not played. It can be pretty jarring. All right. So it should be enough time. Yep. So now what we're going to do is we're going to loop around this. I'm going to kind of line myself up at the edge of this. And now we are going to spam spacebar in a straight line for about a minute, I want to say. This skip is probably the biggest one. Yeah, I'd say this saves the most time throughout the whole run, because we genuinely skip an entire chapter. Every single thing about the chapter gets skipped except for the final boss. So it went from being like a 16, 17-minute chapter to a 4.5-minute chapter. And if you're wondering, it's like, does this get tiring, like on your fingers, like on your thumb, and like holding shift? And the answer is yes, it does. It's exhausting sitting here mashing spacebar. This would be, if you want to shout anything for GDQ, plug anything for them while we just mash spacebar, please feel free.
Honestly, we're pretty chill right now, but a question for you. So I noticed that, obviously the Alone in the Dark community has been bubbling quite a lot. Or I'm not going to say the Alone in the Dark community, but specifically 2024, the new game. I can't imagine a lot of the older runners have dove quite into this yet. But what made you take to this game? Like, what made you want to run it?
I was looking for like a good, just like a horror experience to play, and this game came out, and we were all kind of looking for something to play. And the horror speedrunning community, survival horror, as you know, whenever a new survival horror stuff, anything comes out, sometimes we like to just run it to see what it's like. We play the game casually, like, okay, yeah, maybe it'll be fun, and it is a fun game. And I noticed that it could be really broken, and I was like, sounds good to me. So it's basically just like, it looks really broken. I gotta switch to 30 FPS here so I don't mess anything up. So yeah, I mean, really, I was kind of like pulled to the fact that it looked like it could be super broken, it looked like it could be pretty fast, and I like beating games that are meant to be slow pretty fast. Where are we going, Emily? Why are we sinking? Let's get back up there. So now we're in the snow area. Oh, and the game does not like that we did all that. It is very unhappy with the fact that we are so out of bounds. And it crashed. Okay, that can happen. Yeah, the game gets very unhappy sometimes if you go a little too aggressively out of bounds. We may have hit a checkpoint there, though, so let me see.
Oh, that's good at least.
Yeah. We get out of 30 FPS here. We did not hit a checkpoint. So we are going...
it is the last one of the night, so that's A-okay.
That happens. that is the way it goes. I've never actually crashed there before. I wonder if it has to do with the fact that I dipped so low. But hopefully that doesn't happen again. you know, the game really didn't want us to do that. It was like, what are you doing? That is not okay. But we're gonna go do it again. We're just gonna do it again. Okay, what are you gonna stop us? Like, I'm gonna just do it again. Thankfully, this one isn't as egregious to like have to redo because it's a pretty simple lineup and like you don't have to stay paused for too long and like the run isn't that long. Yeah, it's very decent at least. We're gonna close out. Oh nope, that was a little too soon. So we're gonna pause it again. Give it a moment to deload. If you unpause too early, you can save it if the level hasn't loaded back in. So you just repause, give it a minute. This is where like the RTA and friendly side of it comes in, like I said, because you just have to wait. Hopefully, no more crashing though. I really don't want to have that crashing again. That is such a pain. In runs, it's a double pain because like this is kind of the nature of speedrunning, and I'm sure all my speedrunning neutrals, even Ek, can relate. When you break a game, you can sometimes just really break the game. Like, the game will be very, very broken. And it's more than just skipping levels, but, like, you're doing things the game does not want you to do. Like, the devs never intended. The game was not designed to handle. So when you do them, you can't be shocked when the game just implodes on itself, right? Because you should actually be thankful that it doesn't anytime, like, right? Like, do you think at any point the devs were like, let's make sure that the player is able to run in the sky, like, and run to different levels? Like, at no point was the game meant to do this. So I don't ever, like, get too upset when, like, my game crashes when I'm doing stuff like this, because I'm kind of asking for it, right? When you're a speedrunner, you're kind of asking for it when you do stuff like this. So, you know, I just let it happen. Hopefully it doesn't happen again, though, because I would like to not have to mash spacebar again like this.
Well, while we're running again, Zeke, how about you tell us a little bit about the games you normally like to run? I know recently in the last AGDQ, you did a run of RE4 Separate Ways, so what else you got going on?
Yeah, so I usually am an RE speedrunner. I guess most notably, if you had to say I was notable for something, it'd be Resident Evil 7. I have appeared on GDQ multiple times, and specifically with Ek in his shows for Resident Evil 7. I hold all the main category records for that game. It's probably my primary game, I would say. I do a lot of like horror, survival horror. I've been known to do things like, you know, Doom Eternal as well, but I did run RE4 Separate Ways Professional at the most recent AGDQ, which was a very fun run, and I had a very good time with it. But if you're interested in Resident Evil speedruns, or if you're interested in horror speedruns, I do a lot of them. And usually I do like Resident Evil 7 at a very, I guess I would say high and educational level for like world record stuff. So what I'm going to do is reline up here. Let's try this one more time. We're going to get over here with this guy, and now we're going to try this again. Everyone, please prage. No crash, please, goodness. Okay, we clipped in. Don't fall. Get me up out of the ground. And we just want it. Pick me up. It should pull me out of the ground here in just a second. I'm going to play it safe and get closer to this so it actually pops me up. There we go. All right. Crisis averted. We're out of there. Now we get to go straight to the last boss of the chapter. An unfortunate crash, but you know, it wouldn't really be a good showcase of the run if I didn't show you the worst part of it, whereas the game could just crash. So we're coming up on a boss that I don't know if you understood it at all casually, Ek. I don't understand why he's here. Like, why? Who's Jacob? You know?
No, all of this was new to the remake.
Yeah, this guy was not, like, mentioned at all, I don't think. Like, I watched every cutscene. This dude was never mentioned.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, when I play this game casually, I think every other time I saw a character, I just said, look, everyone, it's the unknown. Like, literally every time.
Yeah, it's like everyone is the unknown, and then it's also the dad from Stranger Things. So it's like, yeah, that's basically how every character was. It's like, oh, these are just, like, characters, and oh, look, it's David Harbour. All right, so this is Jacob. Even on hard, he's a bit of a pushover, except you can just die. So what's going to happen here is he's going to say some words, and then he's going to run at me, and I'm going to just dash through him, and I'm going to empty a clip of this Tommy gun on him, which should kill him. Sometimes I need to shoot a pistol, and he'll die. So I'm going to just dash through and blast him, and he's dead. And the phase 1 is very easy. The phase 2 is a little bit more... I'm not going to say harder, but there's a bit more steps to it, so I'm just reloading my guns while I wait for this to open. And we're going to do this puzzle. Like, again, this puzzle, same solution every single time. be 2 right, 4 right, 2 left.
Existence, Jeremy. And at least set everything in order.
And this is going to start the second phase of Jacob, where we're going to basically empty a clip into him to stagger him, reload our gun, stab him, and essentially do a repeat of that process. So I'm going to go ahead and dash at Jacob and blast into him. He's just going to fall straight to the ground. We're going to reload, and we're going to poke him. And now we can shoot him again while he's getting up. We're just going to dump a clip into him, and then I'm also going to dump a pistol into him. And I'm going to kind of time these last shots to drop him down. Oh, I missed. Holy moly. Hold on 1 second here, buddy. And now we're going to reload again. One more stab, and now he's almost dead, so we're just going to blast him. And that's the end of that fight. So that's the end of Chapter 4. We have to let this cutscene play a little bit, because if we don't, the last area, Chapter 5, won't really load, because we skip far too many things. And now we're in Chapter 5. So there's a lot of... The main category for this, I guess I would call the main, is Grace ending, where you basically go talk to Grace after getting the collectibles and the game just ends. But we're going to do the Black Goat ending. By the way, fun fact, Jeremy up there is voiced by the guy who voiced the original Leon in Resident Evil 4. Fun fact.
Oh yeah, so I actually did remember lore-wise, Zeke. So the Jacob guy, I think it's supposed to be like the uncle.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so in the original Alone in the Dark game, you find out the main villain is indeed your uncle because he got immortal life through dark power. So I think it's supposed to be a reference to that.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. So yeah, now we're doing, this is, like I said, the Black Goat ending. So the Black Goat boss, he's, tricky to, like, do fast. So basically what's going to happen is the first phase is we're going to shoot some bulbs on his head and, like, get some ammo and stuff that we need. To start his second phase where he destroys the arena, which requires us to just shoot some stuff on his head. So this cutscene is not skippable, but he looks like a weird fella. We kind of call this, if you're familiar with Resident Evil 7, the Jack 3 boss fight, we kind of call this Jack 3 because it's the same fight. Just shoot the things on the big guy. Shoot that. I'm gonna reload my gun and grab this ammo. Another one's gonna spawn. We should have to shoot, I think, 5 of them. I'm gonna reload this and just fill up all my ammo so I make sure I don't have to worry about grabbing any more. Should be just one more we need to shoot. It's gonna start the second phase. Relax, buddy. I'm gonna run over here. He's gonna knock down the arena. I am out of bounds. Okay, that was a little concerning. Now he falls down. We have to wait for him to spawn some enemies. On hard, he spawns 7. On easy, he spawns, I believe, 3 or 4. And the enemies are very, very squishy. On this difficulty. On hard, this is significantly worse because the enemies are a lot tankier. And he spawns spiders sometimes. Hopefully he doesn't spawn any. And the spiders are just super, super tanky. And they can one-shot you. What's going to happen after this phase is he's going to stand up, and there's going to be some weak spots that spawn on his legs. We need to shoot 2 legs to knock him down. And we're going to kind of trick the game a little bit into thinking that we're doing this in a certain way. So he's going to expose his weak spots. We're not going to phase him. We're actually only going to break 6 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6. And the reason we're doing that is because this game has a weird issue where if you break all of them, and then the second part of this phase starts, he won't, and you try to down him again, he won't spawn any bulbs. It's like a weird bug. So we're kind of forcing him to spawn more by breaking his legs again. So we're going to take out that leg, and that leg, and now he's going to fall down, and the next bulb I break is going to phase him. And now he's going to spawn enemies again. We're going to grab some ammo. Throw a bottle at him. You don't need to do that, but sometimes it's easy to forget that there are throwable items in this. I'm on fire. I did not mean to do that. I lit myself on fire. We're just gonna wait. We're gonna spawn these guys. I'm actually gonna shoot a couple of the bulbs here to get ready to kill the boss. He spawned a spider, but I don't really care. Okay. Now he's gonna stand up. And I'm gonna pop the last ones. Please, give me your head. Buddy, down here. There we go. And time's gonna come up right now. Time.
Gee.
That's Alone in the Dark, thank you. That's the Black Goat ending of Alone in the Dark. We typically time this by LRT, but in-game time is about 36 minutes. But yeah, no, unfortunately with that crash, it might have went a little bit longer than anticipated, but I do appreciate, you guys hanging out through that. But I just want to say a couple things, before I go. Obviously, thank you, Ek, again, for having me on. I've been on Hotfix numerous times, and I really do appreciate all the time he's giving me an opportunity to run and showcase a game. I really do appreciate that. And obviously GDQ for hosting, Richard for doing tech. If you guys don't know who Richard is, he carries. I'm not even lying to you. That guy does crazy work. But shout out to the people who helped route and run the game. We had Abukamu, Zarian, Demented Salad, Nico Hart, Agustan, Catlink, a lot of people who ran the game, who are running the game, and helping find tricks and skips. It's been a very fun last few weeks. So thank you again, guys, for watching. You can find me at Captain Ezekiel is my Twitch, and Captain Ezekiel _anything is my Twitter. I do a lot of Resident Evil runs, a lot of horror runs. I be doing a lot of that stuff. So if that's your jam, I'm your guy.
All right, thank you once again, Zeke, for the run of Alone in the Dark. It's always nice to see how a new game thrives in the speedrunning community and what tricks you end up finding. And for a brand new game, it's pretty broken already.
Yeah, very broken.
That being said, hope you all enjoy the run there. If you did like Captain Ezekiel, you can find more of him in the link in Twitch chat. He does a lot of horror games, and I do want to say thank you again for him doing the run. As well, I do want to say thank you all for watching tonight's episode of Speedruns from the Crypt. We do this every 2 weeks. We have a bi-weekly horror hotfix. It's fun times. So hopefully you all enjoyed it. It was also pretty fun allowing you all to kind of just make your choice of that. Anyway, we'll be back in about a couple of weeks. Until then, I've been your host, Ecdysis. And that being said as well, if you didn't miss out earlier on either Challenger Approaching or Speedruns from the Crypt, we're playing both shows after this. So that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day or night, and take it easy.